I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm so amped up. I've been amped up for days.
Rock.
Yeah, we don't have to clap or anything. We can just start.
All right, let's
That's
clap.
crazy.
Are you recording?
I'm recording.
You're recording.
I'm recording. We don't have to clap, but we can.
I want to clap.
All right.
It's the last one.
It's the final clap down.
It's the only clap that will ever actually be in time.
Here we go.
You'd hope.
3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and with me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello, and I actually really am with them right now.
That is correct. Our producer, AJ Fiddler.
All right.
How are the levels? How are the bars?
The levels and bars are great. I'm in full control, and I've never been more comfortable with the setup.
And last but not least, the Dream Snaker, Joshua Dean Baker. How are you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, surrounded by my great friends, drinking some lovely coffee made by AJ. It's a great afternoon.
That's correct, everyone. The energy in the room it's
all in one room.
It's pouring out because this is the first time ever 10 Very Big Books has recorded in the same room. So we wanted to do something special for the final episode. So the four of us got together at AJ's house, and we are going to wrap up our read-through of the Crippled God and our read-through of the Malazan Book of the Fallen.
Woo!
And it's powerful because now I can watch Josh scroll Reddit in the room.
I'm actually currently working on my Grey Knights army list.
Oh,
so.
I see. You're doing Warhammer research, so
Yes.
I can spy that directly in front of me, and that's why we came together, So a lot of videos being taken.
We're all taking pics.
A lot of pics. We all want to document,
Yeah.
Kids these days.
We can't live in the moment.
Yeah, you
Kids
can't live in the
these
moment.
days.
Okay, I don't think we have time for bits.
AJ, to counter, I got all the time in the world.
you know
We've
what?
never had
I
more
was
time
solid,
for bits.
yeah.
We're all hanging out. We don't have anywhere to be because we're all staying at my house tonight. You can already see the runtime of this show. It's probably really long.
Part of me thinks it's going to be our longest episode.
Definitely going to be our longest
I would
episode.
hope so.
by
I don't know how
far.
it couldn't be.
So, I will let everyone know how the episode's going to play out, but I did want to just check in up top. India Jones, how are you feeling this fine Saturday?
Well, I feel like that's like a loaded question because we already prefaced this with we're not going to get into all of the feelings of how some feelings, but not all of the feelings. And I'm feeling a lot considering I just finished the book about 15 minutes ago. So I have a lot of feelings. I'm so excited to talk about this. I'm excited to be here with my friends. And I'm just feeling I'm feeling a lot of gratitude today. I'm feeling a lot of gratitude.
Me too, a lot of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Joshua,
Yes.
setting aside your army research.
Yes.
How are you doing this fine Saturday?
Feeling great. I drove a solid 4 hours. PB and I drove into, that's right, the Electric City.
That's right, Scranton,
to
Pennsylvania.
pick up India today. So really riveting stuff.
To be clear, I'm not from there.
Yeah,
Do not look for
flood
India
the
in
streets
Scranton.
of Scranton.
AJ Fiddler,
Yeah.
the producer of the show.
Yeah. I feel weirdly like I'm in a producer's seat because you are all
across
sitting
the
on a
room.
couch and I'm across the room on a recliner.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's nice to have the OG hosts on this couch.
Yeah, I don't want to
we should be
contaminate the
separate.
vibes.
Yeah,
Separate
so-
but equal. We all get it.
Honestly, it's insane to think you
Oh my
were...
God.
All right, AJ.
Okay.
I firmly agree with that, AJ. Separate but equal.
Crazy to think you weren't always on the show.
Yeah, we were talking because I was like, I don't think we have any pictures from when we started doing the podcast, and India shot off some things, some pictures that she had taken, and I'm not in some of them just because I wasn't there for the first.
2 seasons you didn't record with us.
I would just get texts that were like, "We're done
3
recording."
seasons. You joined in 4.
I joined in 4. I started giving takes at the end in my credits
That's
of
crazy.
3. Yeah.
You were just so influenced.
I can't
I was.
imagine.
I really was. At the end of book 2, I was like, these books actually sound really good.
Yeah, I can't imagine not doing this with you now, to be honest.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
feels like you've always been there.
Wow, that's so
Well,
sweet.
they were always there, just not on
Not
the
in
show.
the room,
but like not like.
Yeah.
We recorded separately. Let's be clear. It's very nice to have AJ fully present.
Yeah. Well, look, I was on the first spoiler cast episode, so I think we really know who's been in on the ground
That's
floor
true.
since the beginning.
Yeah. Very rogue appearance on the first spoiler cast in hindsight.
That was fun.
Let me give you a quick rundown on how today's episode is going to go. We first off are in no rush, so hopefully we will be able to touch upon most of what happens, but I will just disclaim a lot happens in these last 2 chapters, so 1 or 2 things might get by. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think this show is notoriously we miss beats, and then people in the Discord are like, "I can't believe you missed this beat," and that's just how it happens.
Yeah, well, it's always really interesting to see what resonates with people and then what we speak to, and so so basically we didn't write chapter summaries because basically the ending of this book's huge. So, but we are going to basically kind of go through chronologically the last 2 chapters of the Crippled God and the epilogue. So that's chapters 23 and chapter 24 and the 2 epilogues, and discuss the ending of this book and the wrap up of the series. After this episode, although this is our last read through episode of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, we will have Dust of Dreams, the Crippled God combo wrap up mailbag episode. That'll come out at a date to be announced. I couldn't tell you at this time. We have the charity live stream on July 22nd. I'm begging you to tune in. Please tune in. And then hopefully we will have 1 or 2 more episodes after that to wrap up maybe the entire series and talk about how we feel about the whole package.
Yeah.
And kind of making this show too.
Yeah.
So that's roughly, there will be a postseason, and there will be the live stream. So we hope you join us in that. But today we will be going all in on these 2 chapters. All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
Josh, how's your
Josh
army?
Josh and Andy are very absorbed.
I'm ready.
I'm so sorry. I'm Instagramming this
posting?
whole. I'm posting
Please.
so much of this.
I'm currently trying to
But let's
see
get
if I can
started.
find a used Imperial Knight Crusader.
Perfect.
For a decent price on
Josh,
eBay.
I'm dying. Every time you talk about this, I'm dying, you know?
What is it?
I don't want to know.
Okay.
You can tell India.
We'll talk about this later.
Can tell India later one-on-one.
Let's get into
In our
it.
twin bed cuddle sesh, guys.
Oh my god. Hey, it's a queen.
Queen. That's what I
A
meant.
queen bed cuddle sesh. Okay, let's get started. Chapter 23.
Wow.
Powerful.
We're into it.
We're here.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, intro's over, baby. We're into it now. Chapter 23, one of the 2 big battles that end.
I thought you were just going to say one of the chapters
2
in this
big
book.
chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One chapter in the series.
Powerful.
Very astute.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even get over that we're getting into
We're
it,
here.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, let me just ask you guys this. Did we think it was going to climax in these big battles at the end of the world?
It's a tough first question. I think, you asking one of us particular?
Please, open floor, baby.
I mean, I think it was fitting the way that it ended. I thought it was, overall, I thought it made a lot of sense. But there was always a part of me that was like, you know, at any moment this could be a book 5 all over again, where the fight never actually happens, you know?
You don't feel like we've been edged enough for that? Like to finally get the release? You think we would just...
That's true. That's true. Steve did.
Christ.
We deserved this.
Yeah, we've earned it.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I mean.
earned.
Not
There it
every
is.
book ends in like a big kind of traditional
No,
battle in this
for
sense.
sure,
but
for
this
sure.
this one ends the series. It like all the forces are here. We're all together.
Yeah.
Big battle time.
Yeah, I think it makes sense from the angle of like if you just follow the lines from everybody's storyline throughout the series of like, yeah, this is the conclusion. Like we end at the Crippled God, which is the title of the book, and then we're all fighting and it's happening.
I think unless there was some sort of Deus Ex Machina, there was no way that this didn't end in a battle, you know? Like this one was pretty much had to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was surprised. Yeah, I wasn't surprised. The whole book was really just leading up to this. And really, I have to wonder how Mr. Erickson was sitting there writing this, because I would have just been shitting myself. It was just like beat after beat, something crazy was happening and violent and just like, I don't know. There's just so much emotion, whether it was like sad or even like some like weird but like happy scenes where you're like, or just like, I don't know, impactful in some way. It was just like a lot of emotion the whole time. You were like being held at the peak of emotion, and then it's just up and down and up and down and up and down. So yeah, I was expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I am going to die if I don't say anything. We're in my living room and the window is open, and so cars are driving by. So if you hear like a whoosh sound, that's what that is. I just couldn't not say anything. I'm sorry. No, Indy, I think you're totally right. I think it was, I mean, the chapters were huge, and it was like Yigatan adjacent, where it's like, here's what we're doing this chapter. And it didn't matter if we switched POVs, because we're all in the battle.
Yeah.
So like no matter who we're with, we are just at a different stage of the battle. So it's like we're climaxing here, and then we're like rising action at this next spot, but then we climax and then we go back to rising action. You know, it's good stuff.
Yeah, this was a tough, honestly, chapters to break up.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually really good about like, today I read these many pages and tomorrow this many pages. This one was like, I read 50 pages and was like, I think I'm gonna read another 50 right now because it's too good.
Yeah.
And too chaotic.
And honestly, because obviously I had read them before, when I got to like I don't know, almost honestly like 400 or 500 pages ago, a couple months back, I was like, well, I'm just gonna finish them. I was like too fucking hyped up, amped up, and I just plowed through the rest of it because like I just felt so drawn in by the story, and I was so wanted to have the resolutions that came at the ending of this book, and seeing where these storylines end up and going to this battle and seeing its scenes, you know.
If I was reading this like on my own, I'm worried about the pace at which I would have approached this entire book. I think I would have devoured it.
I crushed that ending in like 3 days or something. But
I found when I was reading it, it was actually, and I was texting AJ about it, but like I would have to take such intense breaks, and that's why it took me so long. Honestly, like, and it wasn't even because I wasn't enjoying it. It was because I was feeling physical stress. Yeah. And I just moved into a new apartment, so I'm already stressed, and like work, and this felt like literally like this was not downtime reading this book. I was freaking out, and I was just so concerned at where this was going to end and how it was going to wrap up. So it's interesting that you guys like flew through it, because I took frequent breaks of just like, I need to, no way. Yeah. No, thank you.
Indy, I think the difference is you know how to take care of yourself. I don't think Josh and Pete respect their bodies. I think like I totally understand what you're saying about like feeling physical stress reading through these chapters, because not only are they like sprints like Yigatan, like it is all just one chapter, it's all happening, we're all in this battle, every POV is this battle, are these battles. I think we're at a point, you know, in the last 2 chapters and epilogues of the book series where we're like, okay, everybody is going to get an ending. Yeah. You know, we're no longer at the like, well, maybe they end this book going off into the sunset on a horse and we'll see them in a book or 2. It's like at the end of this book, the story is over. Yeah. And it's like
when you say goodbye to a character,
it's goodbye.
That's period.
Yeah. It's like see ya. Yeah. So I think that also for me, I have goosebumps thinking about it. I think that was like a big element of like, once this is over, it's over. And like, if a person has an ending that I don't like, that's the ending forever.
Well, and not only are there the stakes of the story, which are obviously very high, there's the character stakes, and then there's this like meta stake of how much I'm invested in like the story of Tak. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like where his character is going to end up. And that's really powerful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, Josh.
Yep.
We start at the Spire, which is the first part of this related battle, related encounter. Do you know what I mean? And we start with Tak, and he's reflecting on his relationship to the Crippled God almost, and the pain that was put onto him, and the meaning he's made out of that pain, and what he wants to do with it. How did you feel going into this battle? And were you tracking talk? Who in this battle around the Spire do you feel like you were really focused on?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I'll say this. Talk was not at the forefront of my mind throughout most of this.
Okay.
You know, I think he is kind of here and there and everywhere, and I didn't understand what he was doing at first here, although obviously now looking back, I see what he was doing.
Sure.
But, yeah, I think overall I was a little bit more invested.
Indy and I just made eye contact. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
I know what Josh meant. Really funny. India's like, oh.
This is the content that I like. Like, we've never been able to do that before.
I do not know about the body, giving the body to them.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is so good.
It'll click at some point.
Yeah, you'll put it together. It'll be good.
Yeah. So, but I think I was more invested in the fight that featured the Letheri than I was the K'chain Shamal, just because the fate of the K'chain Shamal one seemed to depend so much more heavily on what was happening elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so, plus, as much as we've been with the K'chain Shamal, we barely know Gunthmok, and we barely know Caleb for that matter. So it's really Stormy and Gesler as the two characters that we are.
I mean, I disagree with what you said, but I do take your point.
Yeah, I feel much more attached to Ubris and even a Grak. Oh my God, what's his fucking
Grub?
No, Grick? Grill?
Spax.
Spax.
Of the Gilk. That's what it was. That was the I feel much more attached to like that crew. They're so much more colorful to me than I love Stormy and Gesler, don't get me wrong. Rest in peace.
Whoa.
But,
Spoilers.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Spoilers, Josh.
But
Also, ow.
yeah, I know.
Real ones love Gunthmok. Okay,
Yeah.
just want to let it know.
I will say, Josh.
All right, what color are our eyes?
That's not fair. Peter doesn't know anyone's eye color.
It's true. India really burnt me on it once. She really roasted me for not knowing
So
her eye
mad.
color.
No, Josh, I get what you're saying. I think like with the K'chain Shamal story, it's like in some ways kind of
And actually, I don't.
Okay.
Where's the? Well, I just want to say, you just said.
Shut up, you idiot.
You just said K'chain Shamal, but I don't see. Where's the button you hit?
Oh, sorry. Let me. Yeah,
when
yeah.
in the moment when you always are just super well timed.
I've got. It's like a. Never mind. I was about to really age myself. I'd be like, it's like a Staples Easy button.
That was my vision too.
Okay. Not that that's like a thing for old people. It's just like that was a very big thing when we were in 7th grade.
You're digging a hole, bud.
Yeah. Okay. But I get what you're saying. I think the K'chain Shamal story. The K'chain Shamal is like. If I had to put a color to it, it's like kind of gray.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you mean by that?
Like the just like when I think about what the like hive looks like, or like what the K'chain Shamal look like they're dinosaurs and they've got kind of like scaly gray skin and they're in the desert and it's like kind of just like very washed out. And then the events that are happening are always so dour because everything is kind of a matter of like we are scraping back from the edge of extinction, and so it's all very serious and stuff. And I feel like Stormy and Gesler are introduced into this story, this very serious story, to kind of give it a little bit of levity. But as Josh was saying with the Gilk and Nebrastel and stuff, he said they have more color. It's just like a more colorful cast of characters.
Yes, 100%.
And so
I always see Breeze as like a really royal blue.
Yeah, Breeze is kind of just like he's in like noble garb,
Doing
like
color psychology right now. What's going on in the room?
Yeah, I don't know. You don't like.
You don't think Breeze is blue?
I just want to say, I know the follow-up series is about a different character. If the follow-up series was just about the K'chain, I would be having a great time. Let the record show. And also, no, Bryce is not blue, for sure.
What color?
Wow, that's fucked up.
Gold?
I think Bryce is black, baby.
And I'm not saying
Ah.
interesting. I'm not saying that the K'chain Shamal stuff isn't interesting or good or I don't enjoy it. I'm just saying if I had to put a color on it, it's like
If I had to pick a color,
if I was forced to pick a
gun
color,
to my head.
it's just very heavy. It's a very heavy story from like every angle.
Interesting. I'm not going to lie to you. I think because it's dinosaurs, to me, that just makes it a little more
But
fun.
I think that's kind of part of the magic trick for me is like they were dinosaurs with sword arms.
Yeah.
Like one of the most ridiculous things I've ever read in a book is like this canonical race that exists of big T-Rexes with swords for
And
arms.
they're the boring storyline.
And they're
Like,
the
how great is that?
Yeah, and then when they're introduced as like a society and like they have personalities and they are people and stuff, they're like, it's really tough out here. It's really, really rough out here. We are trying so hard not to die off. Like, for that to be that storyline, I think it takes something so absurd in some ways and makes it so real.
I just like my dinosaurs to be kept separate from existential dread, I think is what it comes down to.
Which honestly, if anyone should have existential dread,
it would be dinosaurs.
It's a dinosaur.
It's true.
Okay, so India, the next couple scenes we've seen is from our favorite Dark Academia of villains, the Forkal Assail. They're up in their spire. They're talking about their plans and schemes.
There are books just floating around.
What did you think about them in this battle? How were you feeling about the opposing forces coming into it? Situate yourself.
Okay, let's rewind. First, well, actually, okay. Sometimes I speak without giving myself enough time to think.
Yo,
Sure.
preach.
Okay, so here's my thoughts. The Forkal Assail are just like not a very trustworthy fucking people, and they like. It's very clear that they, like, I don't even know, like, they seem to, like, trust each other, but then, like, one walks away and they're like,
Yeah.
that guy.
Totally.
He's a total fucking idiot. I'm going to portray him.
Yeah.
So, and it's just so, they're just, like, the biggest hypocrites I've ever experienced in my life. Actually, not. I've known some pretty hypocritical people. But, no, they are the worst. But my one question is, one thing that I was kind of confused at the entire time was the Parish.
Okay.
They are just with them because they want to be, or are they like low key like enslaved?
I don't think.
Well, they were enslaved.
But you know, like.
So the Parish that were with the Forkal Assail that attacked Perrin, the ones that came on the boats, they were following their captain, their admiral, but the admiral was like, and when we get to battle, we know you're going to use your voice to enslave us, and we're fine with that. So like they were willingly going to the fight, knowing that
this sounds a little antebellum.
They weren't going to be able to retreat because the Forkal Assail would just get in their minds and say, stand and fight till you die.
Yeah, because their whole thing is they're the same religion or belief system as Setok. And so they were like, we will fight for you, and we will die, and you will die, and the enemy will die, and then only wolves will be left, and that's how we want it. And so that was kind of their whole MO. So they were like willingly with the Forkal Assail for that reason.
But not really for the reasons that the Forkal Assail were leading the battle. You know?
Yeah, no,
they weren't like siding with them. They were just like, yeah, you're a part of this also, and we're just like going to help you die.
Yeah, they're almost like a death cult, like an apocalypse cult.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, and I that was like clear in the last chapter, but like it also wasn't. I don't know. I just got confused.
India, I feel like I still grapple the most with motivations in terms of the Parish.
Yeah,
but I think that's because the Parish themselves grappled with their motivations.
Yeah, the motivations change a lot throughout 9 and 10 too. So
they change in this chapter.
They do.
Yeah, they literally do. Yeah.
But all right. Well, we touched on the Spire. Then we touch in with our heroic forces, if I may use the word. We see Grub and we see Bryce. We see all the commanders. All right, AJ's pumping the fist.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
I love this. It's great.
They were good. They were a good group.
This is a good. Yeah.
What did you love about it?
I think I just love the final composition of this army. Like Stormy, Gesler, Kachin Shamal, Breeze, Grub. Like.
They're a good lineup.
It's a good lineup. Krukava, like it's all like it's
hashtag squad goal.
Hashtag squad goals. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's where I'll leave it. No, I think it's really good. I think there's some really cool descriptions of stuff in here, like Grub on the back of his Vagath Hunter, like getting the scales growing up his leg and back. Like
that was so confusing to me.
It was really weird to read, but I got it. And I don't know. It's just like a cool. It's a weird image to think about the scales of another creature growing up.
Why wasn't it happening to anyone else?
Because Grub is special.
I'm so sick of that shit.
One thing about Grub, he's a special guy.
What's not happening to everybody else?
The scales growing up the legs and the back and stuff.
I thought that was only happening to him.
Oh no! I mean, it can happen to any of them. He's probably just so small he can't naturally fit on the body. So like the thing had to grow a saddle for him.
Oh, interesting. I thought it was like a divine connection thing.
No. That thing can do their bodies shift to match anything about their rider. Like so.
Yeah, we did talk
it's
about.
so cool that they're riding them.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
it is so cool that they're
fucking
riding them.
incredible.
So
incredible.
cool. We haven't stressed it enough. Incredibly cool. Would love to ride one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Me
Maybe
too.
not though, because that probably means I'm in some sort of terrible danger.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, AJ.
No, yeah. And then so that's already a great composition of people. And then Tool shows up and you're like, and we've got the Talani mass here. Are you joking? This is like
Creamy.
It's so good. Yeah, creamy. Yeah. it was really great. And I loved reading it and I was just having a great time. Like I was really dreading what was coming because it was also like, oh, well, all of these people are like relatively powerful in their own respects. And so like shit's about to go real bad.
How confident were you feeling about those forces?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I was like, all of these people could die. Like, I didn't feel like anybody at any point had an upper hand.
Josh, so when it comes to Tool, he shows up and there's a lot of talking about the Talani Mass, comparing them to the Crippled God and thinking about like their pain and suffering and stuff like that. What did you think about Tool joining them? AJ touched on the Talani Mass joining them and their inclusion in this battle here and their kind of comparison they're making to Kaminsod, our guy for this chapter.
I, as a fantasy lover, was hyped to see the undead warriors team up with the reptiles with sword arms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, truth. I was a little bit like, these motivations confuse me somewhat.
Interesting.
I think just because I would need to reread it, like I was in a little bit of a rush trying to get the 300 fucking pages read. So, but I remember at the time being like, they've gone on quite the long path for this to be that quick of a decision in some ways, The Talani Mass are like not known for being the quickest to come to a conclusion, I feel like. But was I happy with the results? Absolutely. Sick results.
India, I want to ask you next about the next person to arrive.
Wait.
You can talk about the Talani Mass.
Are we going to talk about that speech that Tool gave?
Please.
That beautiful little speech
really
when he was like, why can't we all just get along and fucking fight for what's right? I liked it.
Oh.
I thought it was very cute. You guys didn't love it? Why aren't you not like excited by it? I thought it was so beautiful. I loved all of and I never like when they have these dumb, long-winded monologues. But man, everyone in this book, I was just like, yes. But I think maybe that's because everything was so depressing.
Well, I mean, this is a great quote. If by our sacrifice, yours and mine, the pain of one life can be ended, if by our deaths, this one can be guided home, we will judge this a worthy cause. And the Crippled God, he's a stranger to us all, and Tool says, it is enough that in the place he calls home, he is no stranger. I mean, what a fucking line.
And wasn't it with like him and the Kachane Shamal? Where
Yeah, he was with Stormy and Gesler and
Yeah,
Caleb.
and he's
now that I'm
like,
reading
let's
this
all
again,
join
I take it
forces.
back. It's sick as shit.
Right? It was fucking
So
great.
good. I take it back.
I wanna
Awesome
read it.
stuff.
Yeah. And then Stormy and Gesler start crying.
Thus we have this one day to find the measure of our worth. It is perhaps less time than many might possess, but so too is it more than many others are privileged to know.
Thank you. Honestly, like I was like, oh my God, am I thinking about the wrong thing?
No, you were right. I guess I didn't see this as like a speech so
Do you
much
think
as
there's
just, like, a
enough
good line.
body on me to get all of those quotes tattooed? Yeah.
We all just get different lines.
Yeah.
It's our Malazan
We have to
tattoo.
stand side by side.
And that last quote, by the way, is from Bitter Spring, the one who did the second Talon ritual. So
Yeah.
Don't ask me any names that weren't in the first like 5 books because I don't know it and I don't know who you are.
I think that's fair.
No, I'm not 5. Maybe like 7.
So, India,
That's my name.
next, arriving into the fight, we kind of check in. We see Caleb and Gothmak a bit, but we check in with Sin,
Oh my
who
God.
is going to become a major player in the end of this chapter.
Please go ahead.
And I guess we'll get to her and what happens.
Right, of course.
But I would love to know, did anyone in this room ever think Sin was going to end up here, would end up in being such a powerful part of the ending of the story?
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
The book tells us multiple times.
Okay, India.
This is tough. Actually, honestly, no.
Thank you, India, for standing in my truth.
I'm in your truth, and I want to be clear. I thought Sin was like insanely powerful and like a little sadistic and was good for like it makes sense. It makes total sense now. But when I was reading before, no, like Sin was never, yes, she was always like super strong and pretty scary, but like I never thought that she would have such a large role. Wow. I do think in this whole part, like what this section, I believe she was talking and she just sounded unhinged as fuck. But like what she's was saying,
been pretty unhinged for a bit though.
Yeah, well, yes, but like everything that she was saying, like, oh, they're not talking, they don't know about the fire, then it's like whatever she was, because even when I was reading it, I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? But exactly what she said is exactly what she did. And
that is true. She stands in her truth.
Yeah, if anyone stands in their psychopathic truth, it is Sin. I do not, but yeah, Sin was crazy.
I did just want to share, you actually reminded me, I didn't get the chance to say it last episode. Erickson's really ahead of the time. In chapter 21, they call, here's the quote. She also thinks the sun sets up her ass every night and comes out her mouth every morning. She's unhinged, guess. You can see that, can't you? That's 13 years ago, you know?
Unhinged.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I double checking. I don't think people were using unhinged. People use
definitely
unhinged
not
all the time online.
Yeah.
So...
But that's what
it doesn't mean like they're gonna end the world. It's like, oh my gosh, they got double the cream cheese on their bagel today. Oh my god!
But just the use of the word unhinged is like
funny. So
that's
funny.
A great line, though. I want to
Peter,
get that
that's
tattooed.
what I'm saying, though, Peter. It's like I feel like the book tells us.
I don't think that quote's about Sin, but continue.
Oh, really?
I think it's about Krugava. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I think it was about Sin. I forgot.
Peter, I'm telling you, there are multiple times in this book, at least, where there's weird shit that's said, like, oh, Sin could be the end of us all, and Grub could be our savior. Like, that's like a thing that is said.
I just reread the book. I know. And I'm not disagreeing with you, and it makes a lot of sense to me. All I'm saying is that when I first read the book, I was shocked that Sin became a huge element. There are a ton of storylines that are... introduced, seem big, go absolutely nowhere, and don't come back.
You're right.
So when they introduce Sin and are like, "Oh, she's a big deal," my first thought was not like,
"Yeah, right."
I guess
she's going to be a huge part of the ending conflict.
I guess my perspective is like, since she came in the last book, the last second, and I don't know, destroyed a fucking sky keep with her bare hands. I just thought maybe she'd come into play again.
Yeah, I feel like since like at the point where Sin and Grub were introduced, we had seen enough children who are actually ancient wizards in this series that I'm like, okay, well, these two, if they stick around, are gonna be big deals. Like the children who are ancient wizards are always like on my radar, and so they were like from the moment they were introduced, and like especially when I started walking through like the Azath and stuff, I was like, oh, they're gonna have a role in this final like thing.
Well, listen, rereading it, I was like, Pete, you dumb. Let's line up easy, baby.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so there is a lot of battle planning. We see various battle stuff.
Also, sorry, we didn't touch on Guillemot is here with the Toblakai.
The Toblakai are here.
The Toblakai are here.
That's all.
Sorry, the Teblor.
Sorry.
They are technically different.
Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. I said I apologize.
Thank you.
Up.
I accept your apology.
On behalf of the Tepler Society.
I actually want to go over and talk through most of the Tanakalian, Setok, Krugava, Parish stuff. Since although it's spread out, a lot of this happens, and we kind of see the Parish leadership and their motives kind of...
We see the Parish leadership perish.
Yeah.
They do, in fact, perish. So who wants to go first? What did we make of this, kind of the many deaths, kind of this changing of the parish?
It was surprising, I think. I mean, I think it totally makes sense, but it was also like, I guess this is where this storyline went. I think it was poetic and obviously on purpose that the Destriant, Mortal Sword, and Shield Anvil are the ones that take each other out. I think that's just a fun, like, bit of, I don't know, fact, I guess. I feel bad for Setok of all of them, really. I don't know. I feel like of all the storylines, Setok's was the one that I felt the most, like, out to sea with. I felt like we were building up so much, and I think this is obviously the point also, is like we're building up so much, all this stuff, the Thousand Wolves, Setok kind of going on this spiritual journey, finding her faith, et cetera, meeting up with the Parish and Tanakalian, doing all this whatnot. And then for it to end with like Setok being like, oh, you actually kind of make a good point, and then the wolves inside her killing her.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh.
I agree. I'll say this. I was not as invested in this storyline because I personally felt, I've said before, I felt a little confused by their motivations or not fully convinced by their motivations. And I did not really find this trio of deaths to be that satisfying of a conclusion for the Greyhelms as a group.
Interesting. What left you wanting?
I think that at the end of this, you could not convince me that there is any indication as to where the Greyhelms go from here. And I feel like, to me, that just speaks to their overall kind of lack of clear motivation. Like they were like Krugava motivated them to go this way. It's pretty clear now that she was the driving force there. It just feels like they're a group of people listening to whichever charismatic person gets in front of them at that moment, when they're really presented as supposed to be the opposite of that and sort of very grounded in their ideals. But all three of these leaders gave very different viewpoints that the people all at different times agreed with. So I just feel like they're very conflicted themselves about what to do. And I don't know if I'm sure someone found that really compelling. I didn't, personally.
Yeah, and then I think even where it ends up with High Cutter Syndican being like, I guess I'm in charge now.
I want to get on the record, I'm a Syndican stan.
Look, and
it was a cool moment. I was like, okay, cool guy. But in the terms of like the entire Parish storyline, I'm like, but what does this really like mean narratively? I don't know, like or thematically. I guess I wanted more of a concrete thematic through line. I don't know, and maybe I'm just not seeing it because this was 400 pages of book.
I want to go on the record, just like I said about the Admiral. It is frustrating that this fucking High Cutter seems to be more tactically competent and sure of himself than the three fucking leaders were. Like this dude took 8 seconds, saw Breeze on a horse and went, "It's a sign to battle!" Come on. Thank you.
India, jump in here. What did you think about the wrap up of the Parish?
I don't care. I was super, I wasn't super invested in the Parish at all the entire time. I don't even fully, recall the ending.
A lot of their leaders die, and then the High Cutter.
Is that? That's how they end. That's the end of that when Setok dies.
Yeah, because then they go to fight Breeze, and then it's just like they fight and they die.
I was cleaning my apartment at that time. Yes. Okay. Yes, I know where we are. I was super upset about Setok dying. I liked the scene where they all like killed each other. I fucking hated Tanakalian, so
Tanakalian is a great heel.
He's a really good,
He's a really good heel, and he has good points.
Term for a villain.
The opposite term of a hero.
Yeah, like a Randy Orton.
I don't know who Randy Orton is.
Wow.
Oh yes. So that was nice. They all killed each other. I don't know. I was really upset about Setok, and also I was kind of confused about how they like drew that out of her, because I thought it was like a by choice situation.
I think it would have been, but she was having thoughts that were counter to what the wolves believed or whatever. That was like counter to pack mentality, I guess, of like, oh, actually, maybe humans are better than wolves. And then the wolves were like, nuh-uh. And then they killed her.
I actually feel really satisfied on like a plot story level by the Parish stuff. I feel totally fulfilled. I agree. I think I am a little lost in the thematic meaning-making world. Yeah. And especially since I think this time through, a lot of those ideas around like nature, war, man, this type of stuff. And I was really compelled by them and find a lot of the ideas kind of built into those storylines and the Parish as a group really compelling. But I'm definitely a little adrift at the end. So I kind of agree with what you said thematically.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, not everything has to have thematic meaning or whatever, but I guess that's just kind of part of what, to me, makes a satisfying ending personally. But I think this...
I just feel like I'm chewing on it,
Yeah, like this storyline to me, even like rereading back this Cutter Syndicate stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, like they were kind of, the Parish themselves were kind of adrift and they didn't really know what their deal was, but it's like, okay, and so then why? I don't know. I guess if from a meta perspective, I'm like, why are they here? Like, it feels very realistic for like a group of people to just be like following the people that are at the top of their order, and then when they go away, it's like, oh, what are we doing? But I don't know how that lends itself to this particular part of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. You know, like, I feel like this could have made sense in a different book for me, or this could have hit harder, I guess, in a different book for me, like maybe like in House of Chains or something, where we're dealing with the whirlwind and stuff, and like we're all kind of blindly following a thing, etc. Like, I feel like it lines up there, but here, to me, it just kind of feels like a storyline that ends up feeling out of place.
I hear you, and I once felt that way, and I disagree.
Okay.
And I don't fully need to get into it, especially since I'm still like in the process of chewing on it. But this time through, I felt like having this force that like effectively worships war, and like a state of war, and views it as natural, and is almost eager to participate in it, I think is such a important idea and conflict to kind of introduce to the thematic elements of these final two volumes, and kind of question this as the default state nature of the world and of man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess if we mirror it to the other groups, it's like, what really are we fighting for?
And I want to say, Peter,
and this idea that idea that if we're countering it to these other forces that are ostensibly doing war, but doing war for a just, noble, brave, compassionate cause, whatever word you want to use. I think it's important to ask this question about war. What does it mean? Is it in our nature? These types of things. So to me, it really made sense about its introduction, but I don't quite know how to make about where we end up with it.
Yeah.
Josh, you were going to say.
And I think, Peter, where I get a little stuck is that they are war for war's sake, but they're not. Because Krugava's leading them on a war for justice, Tanakalian's leading them on a war to make a name for himself, but in the name of his gods, and Setok's trying to lead them into a war to kill humans. All three are wars for reason. It's never about war for war's sake.
Well, but do you think that's part of the point?
Yeah, aren't they all destroyed?
Yes.
It's like, you can't really have a war for war's sake. There is always another reason, and the reason is whoever's in charge has a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Is that what you got?
And that's like, is it natural to that end, or is it truly driven by these human figures who want to, like,
greed or whatever,
manipulate to a cause?
Power.
How dare you just let me lead myself to a point?
How dare us make meaning on the pod?
I think this is actually a really great. I think I've kind of begun to come around.
AJ likes the
I
Parish.
agree. I think if you look at it in a little bit more depth, maybe Steve did a good one here.
So India, our favorite Lethari, our favorite
you ever
Bedek
think
brother,
about that Lethari is so close to
It's not my
lethargic, and that's
favorite.
kind of the state of the empire when we see it?
Lethari brother,
I would say
Our
our
favorite Bedek brother.
last favorite
the
brother.
last beneath Hull.
Actually, kind
You
of.
putting Hull above
You guys
Bryce?
didn't, wait, well, okay, no.
I
no,
also
fine.
put Hull above Bryce. Hull
thank
truth is
God.
relative.
I do not understand how anyone likes Hull.
No, but
Hull
obviously,
number one. I believe I ranked and
Whoa.
stand by.
yeah, I think I did hole number 2. I don't know. Say hole.
Well, regardless, Bryce has his big moment. We finally get the closure
fucking
on the
sick.
lost names that he learned from the depths.
So good.
Long
so
time
good,
ago.
so good.
That was wild.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so, but, and you know what made it even more fucking crazy is thinking in that moment that he was gonna die.
Yes.
Yes.
Because he thought he was going to die. He was like, and here it is, baby.
It literally.
There's that whole thing about him losing Aaronectar, and he's like at peace with it in a way.
Yeah, no, that whole like section. I want to see.
So many great god names. One of them is like the Mountain of Eyes or something like that.
Satan Thar, Lord Protector of Semi
So good.
Haravathan, the
Steve's
river people.
so good at using 8 words and making me be like, fuck yeah. That guy sounds awesome.
That's a real god.
That's
No.
a real guy. There it is. Yithan Dra, the Mountain of Eyes.
Oh, that one's so badass.
Okay.
Honestly, I wasn't that taken with the names.
Okay, but you like the moment.
But I like the moment. And I was like kind of confused too when he was like, or when we thought that he was dying, and then somebody was like, hold right there, like you stop right there, it's not your time yet. I was like, okay, is this like just being dead and then somebody just like pulling you in? But like, I don't know, I was like, I wasn't sold on him being alive, especially because he already did die. But he's
come back twice now. He's like the only one.
He literally is. Can I jump to the part when we find out who saved him?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Great. The really nods really to like previous books just fucking kills me. And I love that Mal is just always like this presence, and who obviously helped save Bryce. And then the Ambi Bowl.
Shout out. The people from that. I mean, that just was so good.
It was so good. I loved it. Bryce scenes for me were always a little dry.
It's so funny because Mal's usually there.
All that to say, I enjoyed the scene. I thought it was super cool. It was a payoff that we've all been waiting for, getting to hear those names and especially in that experience. And then I loved when he got saved by the bulls and Mal, and I just love hearing how much Mal loves Tehol and takes care of him by even saving his sibling, I should say, in a totally different book out of nowhere. Not even like being brought up, other than the fact that, yeah, and we got some help from Mal. Like, fantastic. Loved it. Great payoff. And I'm loving, while we're going through this, how everything is wrapping up so nicely. It is fascinating. And obviously, this isn't the end for Bryce, but I love how Steve wrote these chapters. I'm so in awe.
Yeah.
And now my question for you, AJ, as Peter stepped out to use the restroom.
Okay, I guess I'm the de facto Peter.
So we find out here that the final blow really is the name of the four-glass god, who we also know as the god in the glass desert.
Yeah.
AJ, my question is, what do you think his name is? Really?
Yeah, it's something that a bunch of locust sounds can make me. Like,
I think it's like a single word. But I can't decide on what word I want it to be, because I believe there is a sister or brother truth.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like truth could be a good one. But I think it's like one singular word. Like,
it could just be justice or something.
Justice is good. Creed. Tenant. Just like something like that. I just really want to know what it is. And I'm mad at Steve for not telling us. You know, we get to learn everyone else's name.
I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But like, there's still one name we don't know, you know?
What's that? Jesus.
It's canon. It's the Christian Christ.
Yeshua.
Yeah. Yeshua, yeah.
Okay, gang. That's enough. I got a hot Malazan fact for you.
Okay.
You ready? I know Death of the Author.
This is the exact same amount of pages as the Bible.
Death of the Author.
Damn, that'd be incredible.
We've never spoken to Steven Erikson.
I don't even know who the guy is.
No one actually wrote the books. They just appear.
No one's ever seen him.
There was no artistic intention, and we've never thought about it. You know what I mean?
Author's dead. Sufficiently.
Steven Erikson.
Yes.
Has said that Kaminsod, I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong, is meant to be one of our real life Earth gods. Canonically brought into the world Wu, which I believe is technically the name of this world.
Interesting.
This world has a name? I've wondered.
It is Wu. It never comes up, but I think they've just said that that's what the name of the place is. The planet.
Wu?
Wu.
I love that. That's fun.
So just sharing that it could in fact be Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Just getting on the record. But
interesting, they used the name of one of the three kingdoms from the Three Kingdoms era of Warring China as the name of the world.
Yeah, maybe that's relevant. I don't know.
Could be.
My question is, when that happened, when he says those names, all the gods got pissed because they were forgotten. Is that what happened? And then they started like raining hell? Like, what happened after that? Like, shit went down, I feel like.
I think it was just there's this power in speaking a name that has been forgotten.
Yeah.
And so they formed like a connection because the Forklift was targeting him with his word, his voice, and then Breeze responded with his own sort of unveiling of power through this connection, and that just sort of like went back into the Forklift.
Yeah,
that's the best I can give you.
It's kind of like, okay, go with me here. It's kind of like the relationship between Featherwitch and the Errant in Reaper's Gale.
Okay, I'm following.
When the Errant is like, yeah, I don't have worshippers because that's like bullshit and it sucks to like have people ask you to do things. And then Featherwitch is like, hey, the Errant, will you help me out here? And he's like, she gets some of his power because she is like beckoning him and she is like asking for his help or whatever. So I think it's kind of a similar deal here where nobody is like, and I think it's amplified in some ways because these names have been forgotten for so long.
Exactly.
That it's like a pressure valve. As soon as Breeze says their names, they're like, finally somebody is asking for our help or something. And then it's like, just this flood of power. I think that's kind of how I am envisioning it.
Interesting. I'm not thinking about it plot-wise at all. I almost see a connection here more to the Carcana stuff, and not plot-wise, but more thematically in that I'm thinking about how, like, you know, the series so much touches on the past and our relationship to it and how we use it and stuff. And here I feel like it's like, here are these people who have erased and forgotten their past and let it go. And it's like, look at the power that can come from connecting with the past, connecting with what is lost, connecting with what is forgotten. And I see that in the Carcana storyline with that diaspora returning home as well.
I respect that. I didn't read Carcanus.
Well, it's in this book. I haven't read Carcanus either.
Wait.
Sorry, I'm really lost in trying to
Carcanus
figure
is
out
where the
what
Tisty
God
and
Kaminsod is.
I don't think it's confirmed.
Stuff.
It's not, but there's somebody has a very
No
lengthy
fucking
Reddit thread about it.
But I'm correct that that's kind of out there, correct?
Yeah, it's definitely out there. And there's a bit of a quote from Steve. As for where the Crippled God comes from, yeah, there are some pretty strong hints in the series, and you're welcome to go find them.
Yeah, and that's one of those things I'm like, someone who's more detail-oriented than me is
and
gonna pick that
this
up.
whole thread this whole post on Reddit is like picking bits from every book about Kaminsod and stuff, and it's like, oh, the place where Breeze was standing is like pretty adjacent to Babylon, and talking about
What is Kaminsod the name of the Crippled God?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You didn't know his first name?
No, I forgot.
Very disrespectful, Josh.
Kaminsod.
Very disrespectful.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Jesus?
either. Wait, who?
okay, wait, here's another thing. It's worth noting Erickson did not say the identity of Kaminsod could be figured out, just where he comes from.
Interesting.
So,
Well, listen, I think it's time we move on from the dead gods.
some proposals are Balder, Dionysus, Buddha, and then Yeshua, the Christian Christ.
Wait, before we move on, I just want to say something unrelated that has just been on my mind.
Please.
We are talking, and while we're talking, we're not making eye contact.
Yeah. Me and India just made eye contact.
And it was weird.
Me and AJ have made eye contact before. You two are over there.
I'm not looking
Screen
at a
City.
single one of you.
Josh has not looked away from a screen this entire time.
I'm so used to, but it's because we're never like together,
Yeah.
so I'm so used to not having to look at you guys.
I'll
I
make
almost feel.
unflinching eye contact if that's what you want.
Josh, I would definitely prefer that.
Yeah,
Do you-
I'm also not really an eye contact person. When I have things to say, I will usually look away.
Yeah, it's my toes are curling. Like I don't like. I'm feeling so. It just feels so weird to be like. Usually
to have us staring at you as you talk.
Yeah, but like people when they do podcasts like together do look at each other.
What are you talking about? This feels really natural to me to look at people when you're talking to them.
Well, I work remote.
It makes me really
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
I see.
just generally.
I'm fine with it. I'm a teacher.
Like I have to really consciously think like I'm making eye contact.
But also, AJ, we are remote workers. Like we never really have
even
to.
before that,
Yeah,
like
you're
I
just
was
not
even when I was
about
working at cafes and stuff, I was like, hey, like I would not.
Hi.
I would really try not to look at people.
All right, so there are a lot of forces going around. Hidewatered Festian is out there. Love that name. There's various forces moving around. We're not going to get into the exact positions and everything, but I did want to touch on, because just briefly earlier where you mentioned Gilk, the Gilk and the Teblor.
Gilk is my favorite character in this chapter.
Spaz.
The whole chapter.
Spax.
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 I was going to
Gilk,
say, what do
sorry.
you mean?
Spaz.
Why do you say that, Josh?
I
Hysterical.
just love that he has spent this whole time with this bravado and this air of, you know, the Barghast of the Gilk are unstoppable. And then they have to like run a little bit, and he's like, "Fuck, oh, I'm never gonna make it." He gets a cramp. He like twists his ankle. He's like the last one to the fight, out of breath. I just fucking love it.
Okay, I will just say this. I didn't love it as much as you did. However, when early in the battle, I forget who, I don't know, Brother Reverence, maybe, I don't know. Someone's talking about it, and they're like, kind of talk about the Gilk's backstory.
Yeah, how they made them into the Gilk, rose up with their turtle shell. And
The turtle shell armor.
When they're like, wait,
so
what
good.
kind of armor do they wear?
Oh my God, such a wait.
And that's just so unnecessary and also really goes against the canon.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't give a shit. All I know is that the idea of them decked out in turtle armor fucking rules and is so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the best way.
Yeah, do you think it's one big turtle
I
shell?
thought it was I thought it was canonical that they were related to the Toblakai, and that is why they're bigger.
I think
we
they
learned
are
that
vaguely related
Yeah,
to...
but then this guy says they created them, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Genetic modification.
Yeah, right? How did you create this race of Barghast?
Magic.
It's confusing.
Josh, I'm never
Am I thinking too deep into
think
it?
that hard into it.
Okay.
Josh.
I think you also have to like these are like ancient immortal races. So like if they're like we created them means that it took 10,000 years for them to like breed a child that's like genetically distinct from
Fucking awful to think. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it could. You're just thinking too small of a timetable.
Okay,
your
you're
brain
right.
is too little.
My lizard brain can't keep up.
Yeah.
Let's skip that for now and touch on... First off, just want to get into it. We're getting to the Spire.
Wait, before we get to the Spire, can we talk about Grub for a second?
Yeah, what's up with the Grub?
I want to read. I think I still have the page pulled up. There is a great thing.
Laying your book flat like
damn it.
the classic Josh Baker move.
Classic Josh Baker move. There is a really good thing with Grub when he takes over, and he talks about
because he's like second in command or
he
something.
becomes second in
He's adorable.
command. He talks about
Like how he grew up.
there's this weird theory that someone posits that he's not like a real human or
Yes,
whatever.
he doesn't have a mother or whatever.
Yeah, and there's like an incredible.
Is it when they're asking if Grub has a belly button?
Damn, I forgot about that. Fuck, that's so good.
When he's like talking about how he was found.
Yeah,
And raised.
he's like, I
yeah.
remember the wall.
So
I
good.
remember the men out
So
there.
good.
So good.
I remember
So
the blank.
good.
I remember no other world. And then he just like leads the soldiers. It is so fucking
he was.
good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. He was. Yes, literally. I was raised by a soldier who didn't want to be a soldier, but that's all I've ever known.
I remember the old man on his horse reaching down to collect me up, and the the bloody road where I was born, where I came alive. I remember that world. I remember no others.
And it's
so good.
It's such a great element that reflects this parallel that's been there this whole 9 and 10 of Book 2 and the Chain of Dogs to what's going on, what's been going on here.
The parallels to the Chain of Dogs is so throughout this entire 2 chapters has me so horny. Literally every time I'm like, yes. Any Coltane reference, I'm like, oh my god, yes, please.
I guess I hadn't thought of the whole. Many of these armies' journeys are a little Chain of Dog-ish.
They literally will not
yeah.
stop mentioning it.
Yeah, I don't know. I
They
just
will
never
not
made
shut
that connection.
the fuck up about it in this book.
Soldier number 7. Hey, this is also.
Is that Crow? Whoa.
I just want to get on the record before we get into the tower itself. I have never claimed to be smart. I've always maintained I'm dumb and I'm basic. And to me, when you put a giant spire into a battle, I'm like, the battle's 10 times better. There's a giant tower. What's that? There's a heart of a god in the tower. I see.
What's that?
The chapter has increased again. It is already a better chapter. So to me, I love that the spire's involved and very excited to get into it and get inside. So we see what Stormy and Gesler have kind of been up to, and we see that they have kind of been leading up there with the Talon Imass's help. AJ, how are you feeling about tracking Stormy and Gesler as they approach the Spire and kind of what them and the Change Them All have been up to?
Like, how am I feeling about just like being with them?
Yeah.
I think it's great. I've always loved Stormy and Gesler. I think they've always been just like a really fun duo.
Stormy, Gesler, Tool. Talk about a trio, baby.
Yeah, for real. Well, that's truth erasure, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys,
rest in peace.
Multiple times in the last week, especially after what happens to them happens, and I was just sobbing. I can't get over the fact that we meet them randomly in a seaside town that's in the part of the rebellion, And who would fucking know that they're like actually two of the most important characters in the entire
Josh,
series?
Before the end of that book, they emerge plated in gold. So
But they were, dude, facts. No, but I remember reading that and thinking that's so fucking funny because they just take a boat and leave, like they vanish.
Yeah. But to Josh's point, they're always doing their own thing.
They're so often they are just vibing out there, and I mean, what an ending.
Yeah,
Devastating.
No, I think it's a great trio, the three of them. I love where their storyline goes, but I think from the get-go, I mean, I've been in on them this whole time, like since we've met them. But since they have gone off with the K'chain Chamal, I'm like even more with them. It's just such a cool story. I think any bit of this story that involves the K'chain Chamal or the T'Lanai Mass, honestly, is like instantly one of my favorite storylines, just because they're so cool and there's so much like history or whatever. There's just like so much to learn about them, and then anytime we learn anything, I'm like, yeah.
Can I have a quick complaint though about the Spire battle? If you'd let me.
I won't let you, but
I think sometimes this book, more so than the rest of the Malazan series, relies upon this sort of deal that the author makes with the reader. Hey, I don't want you to think too hard about how the bad guys have so many troops.
I never think.
And look, the only reason I say that is because like the K'chain Chamal are getting fully stymied in their advance here, and there's so many of them, which means that there must be like 4 times as many humans here, and that's in addition to all of the ones in the huge forest down south, and in addition to all of the ones that fought Perrin already, and all of the ones that are there next chapter. And I sometimes get a little frustrated, like, that the bad guys just get innumerable resources in a world where Steve is so good at logistics of everything, and like the only mention of logistics we get about the bad guys is one sentence in the last chapter where they go, and they took the northern province where we got all the food. We could run out feeding all these soldiers. That's like the only time it's mentioned that like there's like 80,000 Kalant soldiers here, which is more than any other military force we have seen in the slightest, in my opinion. Maybe Letheri had more, but they were an empire. Kalance is like noted multiple times, one nation with some ports. And that annoyed me a little bit. That's my only gripe with all of the fight stuff, is just the immense amount of Kalansi foot soldiers.
Yeah, but also the Forkrilla Sail can be like, have another kid.
They got rid of all the kids. There's no kids in this nation. They're all gone.
But Josh,
the Forkrilla Sail have only been here for 6 months. Or like a year.
Oh, is that true?
The children got kicked out and walked.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I know time doesn't matter in the Malazan universe in some ways, but they've not been here that long in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, who's to say?
I don't care.
I know you don't, Peter.
Josh, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I know.
I'm just saying that's not how I care,
Yeah.
And I want to get into now one of my favorite parts of this chapter. We finally check in and see what Karsa Orlong is doing.
Yeah, baby.
And why he has been included in this book and his kind of contribution to the wrap-up. So let's just talk about the whole Karsa thing all at once.
Oh, yeah,
What did you think, India?
So what my thoughts were mostly was about that old man. And that, like, I don't know, Karsa's character has always been odd because, he was like kind of fucking savage, but then like randomly compassionate, if you want to call it that.
He got humbled.
Yeah. So I guess it was a nice way to wrap that up, to see him showing like a moment of compassion, but then also like, I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
AJ, what did you think?
I think this moment of compassion is interesting. I think it obviously has a lot tied in with like the overarching themes and narratives in this series. The whole thing's about compassion. But I do kind of empathize with you, India, of like it feeling kind of like, I don't know, I don't see where that, unless I'm forgetting something, like he holds the guy and the guy dies and then he goes into the temple, right?
Yeah, and then he like destroys the thing.
So it's, I mean, and I get kind of the whole point is like, well, nobody deserves to die alone, and you know, the simple act of holding a person in their final moments is like enough.
And the cities, towns,
the city, right? There, you know, thousands.
I'll be your village.
Right. Yeah. And like, I think that's a nice moment, and I think it's nice, and I think it makes sense, and like, I definitely got, you know, misty eyed reading it. You know, I'm not heartless, but there was something about it that felt
a little forced.
Not well, yeah. Well, like, see, that's I'm trying really hard to pick my words really carefully, and I think I'm just gonna say the words that I'm thinking in order for this podcast to continue on. And it felt, I don't want to say forced. It felt a little heavy-handed to be like, even in these barbaric societies, we would never let anybody die alone.
Yeah, so stupid.
And it's not stupid. I don't want to say it's stupid. I just think it's like I just think it's like, we've gotten so much of the like, there are bad aspects about quote unquote civilized society. And like, we've seen that through Karsa and through the storylines that Karsa's been part of specifically. We've seen it in other places, but I think Karsa's whole overarching thing is about civilization, all that stuff, obviously. And it felt to me just like we were inserting this toward the end of the book just to like remind us that like civilized society can be bad. Nobody deserves to die alone. Show compassion. Anyway, I'm going into this temple now to do some of the coolest shit you've ever seen, or lead up to the coolest shit you've ever seen. And so that's, I think, where I land with it.
Wow, I really want to hear what Josh thinks about this.
I disagree with AJ so much.
I disagree totally too. Josh, get in here.
And I'm not saying anything you've said is wrong. I
am.
But everything was wrong.
It's whatever. Say I'm wrong. I don't care.
You're wrong and ugly. So listen.
Okay.
Half true. He's stunning. AJ is stunning.
AJ is beautiful.
Thank you.
I don't even really know if I can articulate it, right? Because I don't know if I don't think I can provide a defense against what you said. I would just say my take was that.
Sorry, I just don't want to, like, I'm not trying to present a thesis or anything. I'm just
AJ, you're fine.
Okay, I just want you to
defend your thesis.
Yeah,
right
that's what I'm saying.
now.
Like, you don't have to defend.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just
your point
I
of
think
view.
my
Just
take
please.
on it was, first off, I was incredibly moved. Like you said,
Totally.
I get you. Yeah, you said it. I'm not saying you weren't. Super moved by this, and I think it was very powerful, from my perspective, to see Karsa, the embodiment of violence, give comfort to a man in his final breaths, assent to wear chains for a moment as the Knight of Chains, and then kill the god of war. And I think killing the god of war is such an interesting thought because, yes, he is committing, a murder. He is killing something, but he is killing the embodiment of war, a thing that to like someone, if I described Karsa to somebody, they would see him as a proponent of war. And really, Karsa is the opposite of that. He is full, like, there should not be war in this world. There would not be war in this world if everyone lived in their own communities. And I think it's very interesting to see him go from, like, one extreme of that to the other. And not that I believe he is incredibly correct in his point. I think maybe I think it's a little oversimplified, perhaps. But I found it awesome. And I mean, who doesn't want to see a fucking... And now, pause, though.
Yeah.
I thought Fenner had been made mortal on this plane.
Let's wait to get into the facts.
Okay.
India, your eyes rolled out of your head while Josh was speaking.
Which is the
something
norm.
You wanted to share?
I just feel as though we could have done without it. I just didn't see the point in it.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's I could do without it. I think it's just like, it felt like such a small moment.
It's also not like Karsa's never done a nice thing. Like, this is not like, oh my God, look at what Karsa's like. It's not the first time.
Oh, you're saying, okay, yeah.
Like, we've seen, like, so maybe it's larger than that. Maybe it's obviously not about, like, that specific one Karsa act, and it's a larger thing about whatever, I guess, society, like you're saying. But I just could have, it doesn't really impact my story at all.
Yeah. I think part of it is that, like, I think if you were to like write this out on paper of like, and then we'll have a scene where it's a one-on-one with Karsa, one of the most violent characters. When we first met them, he was one of the most violent characters in the series, but then he has this really like tender moment with a stranger and shows like true compassion. Like, I think they're like, on paper, I'm like, yeah, totally, sign me up for that scene. But there's something about the like, even in our barbaric society, we would never let somebody die alone. And it's just like,
I agree I think that part of the statement is, I think if he ends it at, no one deserves to die alone, and at least I can do this much, right? I think it's the extrapolation too, and that's why society's bad at a macro level. I think that's when it gets a little loose for me.
Yeah, it's just like we're holding up a mirror to like us in our modern society, which I think is like a thing that, you know, fiction should do, and I think this book does very well at times, but it just felt kind of out of place for me here. Mm-hmm. And like the final line of this is, every savage barbarian in the world knew the truth of this, talking about like nobody deserved to die alone and everybody deserved forgiveness, etc., etc. I don't know. I like the scene. It's a good scene. I'm not, you know, whatever. Peter.
Well, it's been really interesting to hear you guys talk. I don't know. I don't super disagree with a lot of you said, but to me, this is one of the most affecting parts of the finale period. And if I was ranking my favorite parts of how the series wraps up, this would be one of the top most moving moments. So to me, I find the compassion he shows Munich here really moving. And I like hear what you're saying about him reflecting on villages and it being this interesting wrinkle as a character who is somewhat challenging the romanticization of like the barbarian image and this simpler way of life, that there was this time when things were easy and more loving, and that if we could only go back to a more tribal life, then things would be better. And then it's meant to kind of provoke that discussion. You know what I mean? And to see his relationship with these more complicated societies, with these larger economic systems and these larger social structures change and evolve. And to me, you know, you're speaking about this line about how like he thinks we shouldn't have cities, but like a world full of villages. And I think it's interesting to think about that line as like, is he almost now romanticizing where he came from? You know, is he like, actually, I came from a beautiful place that was good.
Yeah, which is so interesting given his earlier storyline of like rejecting that life.
And that's where I see that line is actually pretty complicated, but I do see ultimately providing some sort of hopeful, affirming vision that as a character who is so rooted in rejecting society and rooted in rejecting some sort of fundamental obligation to others and some sort of participation in society, as seeing that there is a path forward to this, that there's a path forward to a society that is more based on loving and compassion and caring for each other, and a world where there are villages that don't let people die in the streets like that so happen in these cities like Darujistan, that it is trying to offer one of these ideas around hope. You know, that if there's this idea around hope, around connecting to our culture and heritage that might be presented in the Karkana storyline, that there is this idea of hope here that he offers, that someone is not so nihilistic, someone who is not so completely given up on the idea of participating in society, that there's a way to do it that is about love. And I think that's really what resonates about it to me. And like, yeah, him actually killing Fanir, summoning the thing, Big Boar, you know, that's fun. I'm excited to talk about it. But ultimately, I don't actually care about that. You know, I feel much more drawn into the way Erikson portrays this scene and this moment of compassion and love he gives to this man as he's going to die, and how it wraps up these larger thematic ideas. And yeah, I really love this scene. So it's been interesting to hear you guys talk about what didn't resonate with you with it.
And I do love the scene, and I do think the stuff
I get it.
that's in it is good. But I just like in the context of where we're at in the story, and in the context of even where like what we've been doing with Karsa these last 1,200 pages, 2,400 pages for the last two books, like it just feels like he shows up here, has this really compassionate moment, and then we move on. Just kind of feels like a weird non sequitur for me.
I will say the Darujistan stuff it is not as compelling to me, just because we have to bounce over there so fast,
right?
Have these three people interact. And I know I'm not going to say it's Steve having to check off boxes and remind us. I think he trusts his readers more than that. It just to me feels a little bit out of place within the greater context of the story, I think. Because this story is so hyper-focused on the events happening in this part of the continent. The only time we pop away are in Warrens and this stuff in Darujistan.
Yeah.
And I almost wish it could have... I wish these characters could have found a way to be part of this story on the continent, but I know they can't. I know it just wouldn't have worked, timeline-wise, everything-wise.
Yeah. Part of me wishes there was like maybe a way that like, was it Picker who was talking to Karsa?
Yeah.
A part of me almost wishes there was like a we didn't even go to Darujistan. Like the stuff with Fenner just happened and he's dying, and then we got like a POV of Picker being like, "Wow, Karsa Orlong," and then be like, "Whoa, what did Karsa do?" And then it's just kind of like left up to that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Or
but
an
that's just
epilogue,
like
or almost like an epilogue that pops us over there. Like we were left confused about how Fenner died. We hear the sound of flint striking stone or something as our hint that it was a flint sword that did it, and then in an epilogue we get to see that it was Karsa.
And part of me feels like this scene would work way better for me if it was like one of the last scenes. Like if it was in an epilogue. I think I would have really been like, yeah, this feels like a good wrap up of all of this.
You could just have you could have reversed what happened in the scene. You know, the scene starts with Karsa looking at the shattered altar and then stepping outside and finding the cripple.
I have to just say, I am absolutely floored that I am the only person in the room who is obsessed with this scene.
It's a good scene.
It's a good scene. It just feels out of place.
Yeah, it just didn't work like placement wise for me. I don't know.
I liked the Fenner, like let's kill him.
Well,
yeah, well, let's talk about that. And listen, you guys can write in and explain to India, AJ, and Josh why they're fools.
We all like the scene. None of us said we didn't like the scene.
I get it.
I kind of said it.
All right, so I would like to
Big Boar in Sky.
I would like to remind us that the last time we had heard anything about Fenner was in book 7. Mm-hmm. So forgive us for forgetting this, audience.
Big Boar in Sky.
The last time we had seen Fenner was he had made a deal with the Errant. The Errant was hiding his presence in Letheris because he was being overwhelmed by the cries of his followers. And that is the last time, that is the only time we got confirmation that Fenner was mortal and walking, Josh, the human world.
Josh, I hear you.
Yes.
But counterpoint.
Big Boar in Sky.
I'm Big Boar in Sky.
Yes.
India's Flint Sword.
Yes.
And Big Boar in Sky.
Ba-ding!
Ting, 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 ting.
Blood.
And now, was Fenner in on it with Shadowthrone and Cotillion to use his blood?
No.
That was not my reading of it, but
No.
The wiki, which I'm now allowed to fucking peruse anytime I want. The wiki says it's later implied that Fenner chose this, as we are told, even gods tire of war, while mortals do not.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Interesting. Yeah,
Interesting,
I totally
right?
did
I would
not
like to bring
read
that up with Steve.
that would be an interesting thing. I totally think it's like Fenrir's like, here I am, fuck you, and then it's like, oh shit, I'm dead. I think it felt like very much like an oh shit moment.
I'm gonna have to chew on that.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll have to talk later about that quote. Okay, so yes, Big Boar in Sky, the blood rains down, and what's that? Oh my god, the line, I forget who says it. They're like, this is bad timing.
This was ill-timed, indeed. That's Onos Tulan, and it's the best line of the whole fucking book. Hands down, so good.
Really, really, really good.
Because it is just look, the Talani Mass are the masters of irony, and they have such little humor, and the humor they do is dark and cutting, and I think that line holds so many emotions in it, both genuine and sort of laughing at fate and what has happened. It's so good.
This was ill-timed.
Yes.
All right, we check in with a lot of other folks. We see Gilly, who we have not really discussed.
She kind of came out of nowhere, right? Only introduced in this book, and she's chosen because she's the most beautiful.
Guillemata.
She's the most beautiful.
Yeah, but she goes by Gilly for short.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean though? When I read that, I listened to that over like 3 or 4 times.
I don't think you can read into it. They're the fucking Tabler. It is all,
I was like,
exactly what they say.
Like, that's the stupidest thing ever, but okay, haha. Are we laughing?
Yeah, it's a kind of funny joke.
Yeah, all right.
I guess it's a joke.
Good one.
The forces continue. We see the Jagat have joined. It's a real like all the elder races are getting together vibes,
It works for me.
It really worked for me. Yeah,
seeing all these various factions arrive.
Yeah. And I think also We keep talking about themes. I think also thematically, it's like, oh, not only are these races fighting each other again, it now looks exactly the same as it did 20,000 years ago, a million years ago, whatever.
It's so good.
Because everybody's got
history
repeats.
There's kind of a rhythm.
Literally.
The poem's rhyming.
Yeah.
We also see Whiskey Jack is a part of the battle. We have not touched it.
Oh, the scene with him and Talk during this part of the chapter is incredible.
Yeah?
Yes.
Why?
That's the scene where he runs to Whiskey Jack and he's like, please, they're dying down there. You must intervene. You've got to help. What can I do to convince you? And Whiskey Jack's like, Talk, did you really think we would refuse?
Yeah,
and then
he's like,
Ghost Cavalry, go.
It's like, I'm doing it, man. Like, what are you talking about?
He does take a little while. I mean, they could have gotten in there a little earlier.
I do love the moment. Actually, I cannot even remember when that is. Is that this conversation where Talk's like, I know I'm not a bridge burner, but...
Yes.
That's we'll have to get into it.
Talk.
My guy.
It's just like I read that line and like instantly face flushed, eyes full of tears. I'm like, my man, you have been through it so much.
So bad.
So
when we were
bad.
thinking of characters who deserve a happy ending in the last book, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk's been through, I would dare to say, be one of the characters been through the most.
You are
been through the most in the series. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think it's hard to compare.
The matron hug.
The matron hug.
All I think about is the matron hug.
The matron hug's so brutal.
It's rough. I think if we're going in terms of like who has suffered the most physically,
and it is a competition.
I do think Talk is like high up on that list.
It's that. Then he gets tied and forced to sit in the menstrual puddles behind the all encampments. It's just like,
oh my god.
The eye.
Yeah, did you forget about that?
Yeah. His eye.
Talk didn't.
Well, we'll be able to talk about Talk later on.
He gets killed. Oh my god.
So many. Yeah.
So, India, let's talk about the wrap up of the Torrent storyline.
Yeah.
Shit. Yes. This was good. Torrent died.
Torrent does die. Rest in peace.
Pretty fucking brutally, too.
Yeah, I need to wait. Let me go back to that page.
He confronts Olara Thiel.
Yeah, 10-10.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and then the legs. Oh, with the water.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and then kills Olara Thiel.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Yeah, shoots her through. She becomes
Crushed
mortal,
it.
and then boom, arrow through the eyeball.
God.
So good. Rada's Hood's also like, we had a Hood point of view where he's like, this could be pretty tough. I don't know if I'll be. She's pretty powerful, and then bloop.
No, that was fucked up.
As soon as we switched to Torrent POV, after the Talani mask started becoming human again or whatever,
Ill-timed.
corporeal, ill-timed. I was like, this scene has to end with Torrent just like killing her in the most mundane way possible. And it's not mundane because he shoots her from like 300 yards
And
off or something.
through the eye in honor of
and
Tom.
It's like,
Yeah, dude.
turn a little bit to the side, right
Yeah.
over the shoulder,
Oh,
through
it's-
the
oof.
phenomenal,
Ooh, man.
phenomenal, and it was so well planned.
Yeah.
Like it was just such a sad ending. I was
It's really rough.
especially because she's such a bitch. Like, oh my, I was so
The
mad,
fucking worst.
literally so mean,
I will say Olara Thiel's really stood out this time through as a great villain.
phenomenal villain.
She's a
like literally 0 ounce of any
what's
kind
that?
of.
A witch kids are forced to follow her, and the oldest kid's trying to protect them. In.
And just her representative of like holding on to this like pain and like holding onto it so tight and being like, yeah, I want to get revenge and be like fucking do the ritual of Talon.
Yeah, because I have a crush.
Because I have a crush.
If there's one thing that the IMAS are gonna do, it's some fucked up magic thing because they have a crush on someone.
I'm not mad
I
at
can't
it.
relate. I've never
Could
done
if I would.
I can't, I've
What if
never,
I could?
Never done something bad because I have a crush. Not even once.
No, me either.
God.
I would take it back.
Okay. All right, everyone. Bust out the tissues. The deaths are continuing.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the tower, and Stormy
Please no.
is
Don't tell me.
he meets an early death.
Well, so Sin does the thing.
Wait, how funny is it though? Like when they're climbing up, it's the spire,
Yeah.
and he just grabs Sid and throws her off.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
I thought it was so. Well, first I was like, did he just kill her? But obviously not. But I just found that so funny. It just he just grabbed her by the ankle and threw her over the side.
I think it's really interesting how Erickson approaches magic users in these books sometimes, because it's like like
why didn't
even
you use your magic?
Yeah, well, yeah. But it's like, it's, you know, with like Sin or Olara Thiel, who we have seen, I guess we haven't really seen Olara Thiel. We've just kind of heard stories, right, about how powerful she is. And like, we've seen her anyway. But with like Sin, who we've seen be this fucking powerful ass mage, whatever. And then to just be like, oh, you pushed her down some steps. And like, that was like almost enough to kill her. I don't know. I think that's just like really interesting to just like throw that mundanity in with those storylines.
I will say, though, the series has done a pretty good job, in my opinion, of never really making straight up magic users powerful in that way.
Totally.
So it worked for me 100%.
Yeah, it always works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess in the end, the greatest sin was hubris.
And that's the show, everybody. We're actually not going to talk about the final chapter. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for tuning in.
Oh god.
So Stormy dies.
Yeah.
That was so fucking sad. Wait,
Awful.
but not just any way though. Like, what did Sin do? How is she able to burn somebody that can't be burned?
Yeah,
Well,
so,
yeah.
okay, can we refresh ourselves? So, because I would love a refresher if you can help, Peter. So,
Josh, you can use the wiki.
the Warren of Talon is what gave the power to Stormy and Gesler.
Yes, my understanding.
Right.
Yeah, they were bathed in the fires.
Right.
Bathed in the
now,
fires.
Sin got her powers.
My understanding is, doesn't she get her powers in Yigatan?
Like, from
in a
that
fire
action?
elemental?
Well, no, she had power.
Well, she had
She
some.
was
she had
was
some
fighting
power.
that fire like
but then
crazy.
after,
But, like, doesn't she-
Yigatan like breaks
I feel like
her
she almost
or something.
ascends or something
Yeah,
in Yigatan,
something
or
weird.
she like I feel like she gains a lot of.
That was
she,
that big fire.
yeah,
and I know they like technically summon a fire elemental, and part of me thinks that's related to
I
Sin.
think Sin
She summons it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, Idiot, my best answer is sometimes you're allowed to just get even hotter. You know?
I think it's something along the lines of like, because they're like, oh, well, we felt the fires of Talan. These aren't those. So I think it's just a different type
Different type
Yeah.
of magical fire.
Right.
Like,
I agree. I
like
think that
maybe
too.
from a hold instead of the.
Oh, I like that.
one,
I like
you
that
know,
thought,
and
yeah.
it, you know, they just don't have that language, so they can't be like, oh, this must be hold fire or something. You know, it's just like it's older or more ancient or more magical or whatever. Choose your.
Is this the chapter where one of the two thinks about truth?
Yes.
They think about truth here.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
sad.
Because they walk through the fire.
Exactly.
And they think
That's what I
about
thought.
it
truth.
made me more sad about truth than when truth
I know.
dies.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Ugh.
that was impactful. That one.
Yeah.
Oh, we both ummed.
Ooh.
Yes, this whole conflict at the top is just so much happens all at once, and all of it absolutely shreds, in my opinion. First off, the dogs.
Please.
The dogs are here.
They made it. They literally, against all odds, they somehow first of all got there, which is like insane because
Well,
Stormy and Gesler like.
I forgot that Stormy and Gesler in truth are the ones that fucking revive these dogs.
Yeah.
They got that bond, baby.
Those are their dogs. Those were their dogs.
Yeah.
They're pups. They're boys. That was so fucking sad. Only what fork-wheel sail was it?
Reverence.
Reverence?
No,
is
wasn't
They're
it
fighting at the top.
That's what it is. They all have the same name to me. Literally.
Yes, reverence. Okay, I was getting reverence and calm confused.
I get them all confused.
They're all
Calm
the
is the
same.
one with Mappo.
Yeah.
Yes, Calms with a Carian.
Oh, too good.
Calm's the one
We'll
that
get
got let out by Karsa.
Yes.
Confirmed.
Yes.
Reminder.
Awesome. Oh my God. We'll get there.
But yeah, just the idea of like Gesler knew, like he was like, yeah, and I could come out of the way of that punch that's going to literally kill me, but she's killing my dog.
Yeah.
And I can't let that
Yeah.
happen.
And I think
So
later on,
good.
somebody's like, I hear he died defending a dog, and they're like, classic Gesler. And they're like, yeah, but he wouldn't have been able to live without Stormy anyway. So that's, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, well, Gesler dies too. So that also
Spoilers.
happens. And
But then Hood comes.
Hood comes and joins the fray.
Yeah, dude.
I loved when Hood came. I liked when he was like, the idea, sometimes I can't picture what's going on when I read these books. And then other times I can.
Okay.
And in this one, I just imagine him coming down so fucking annoyed and just picking her up and just slamming her like,
Yes.
why
Yeah, I know.
do you keep doing
Yeah.
this? I'm sick of it. And like just picking her up and slamming her down, picking her up and slamming her down. And it just felt so satisfying to me.
Yeah.
Especially Steve loves to talk about exactly how somebody dies and all the bones that break and all of the blood. And sometimes and it's just like, very vivid every time, almost disturbingly so. But this one felt like very nice. I was very pleased.
I've had enough of your justice.
Yeah. Literally. I've had enough of your justice. That is what he said.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Because Omtos Phalanx
He said
showed
that
up.
exactly, didn't he?
Yeah, they say that.
Omtos Phalanx showed up. We forgot that part.
Yes. Oh, it freezes the bay.
Yeah.
Really
It's
cool.
fucking sick as shit.
Love it.
Josh, do you have any thoughts you want to add about this confrontation on the top of the tower?
No, it's sad and also sick as hell. And
It was my favorite part
great.
of
It's so good.
of chapter 23, I would say. It was my favorite part of chapter 23.
Really, really cool confrontation. Sad Stormy and Gesler pass. Cool death for reverence.
Great death for
the heart.
reference.
The heart gets saved.
That heart is pumping blood.
And the chapter ends.
And this...
Actually, this was my favorite part of the chapter.
And at the
Okay.
beginning of the episode, this is the corpse that Talk delivers to Whiskey Jack.
Yes, this is.
And like once you said it, then I was like, it must have been head to head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we are just kind of playing a little fast and
wouldn't
loose with the rules
wouldn't have
because
known
Whiskey
that,
Jack
though.
and Co. don't get revived, and all the soldiers who die don't get revived,
Josh.
but Headton's
Josh.
corpse gets revived.
All right, Josh.
A little fast and loose with it.
All right, what do we think about this reunion?
I thought that he must have randomly died and I didn't realize it.
Oh, that's quite a take.
I thought that I like really misunderstood where they were in the world. I was like, oh, are they back at the camps? Like, are they back at the Bargas camps and they've just like revived her body at the camp?
I thought it was beautiful.
It was phenomenal. I loved it, but I was confused. It just didn't. I wasn't expect. Who would have expected that? I would.
No,
that was not.
This is the family other than the parents that have gone through the most. So I thought it was really, really nice.
Very sweet. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. I loved every second of it. It warmed me in ways that I wasn't expecting. I thought it wasn't real.
Yes.
I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. I was moved.
Now, can I be a bit of an annoying person?
Yes, absolutely.
How do you reconcile your positive feelings about this with your negative feelings about other people coming back from the dead?
Well,
This one's different. She, she likes this one.
Well,
AJ.
I'm sorry, and like
That's
if this is a
so
shitty
true.
question, we can cut this
No.
out, and like we don't need to use it. But like,
no, I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it makes sense, and I don't think it should have happened. But
That's exactly how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to like get
no,
you or anything.
it's true.
and,
No,
like,
it's true though.
If anybody's listening and you're thinking about being shitty to India, don't. Fuck you.
Hey, if you're listening, oh, sorry, continue.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
No, but I agree because like even Whiskey Jack, Bryce, who else came back? I don't even know who else. Talk,
Yeah.
like it all. I just don't understand the rules. But if the rules are gonna go in any favor, I'm glad they went this way.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
What did you think, AJ?
I liked it. I always like when people come back from the dead. I've never really had a problem with it. And I was very happy that this storyline had like a happy ending.
I'm glad the kids come back.
But it makes no sense. It does make, but that's why I
That's
feel
what
like
I'm
we were
saying.
all so
It
confused.
makes no sense.
We were all confused. We were all like, wait, huh? Because I feel like it just kind of did come out of left field.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you did say that's like, they did set it up in the beginning. I just missed it.
But the setup is that there's a corpse there, and as I'm saying, no other corpse gets brought back to life by this blood.
Yeah, but Talk's best friend.
Exactly. There's some best friend magic here happening.
Whiskey Jack's there, who is like
He's like
charge of
watching
death
the
in a
gate
way.
right now.
And
yeah.
Whiskey Jack's not going to allow Stormy and Gesler to come back?
They
No,
deserve
no,
to
no.
stay dead.
Yes.
Okay.
They died a warrior's death.
Yeah.
They died a warrior's death. Okay.
I
don't know,
okay,
Josh.
wait,
And once again, I don't care.
But
Yes,
I think
exactly.
wait, now if we're following this and we're going to be annoying about it, I'll be annoying about it. I think it's like, you know, Stormy and Gesler died. I mean, I said it as kind of a half joke, but like died a warrior's death. But we've seen Hedge come back and like how fucking awful that has been for Hedge.
All right. Well, also, to be fair, Stormy and Gesler died after the rain was done. That's the real answer.
Oh,
there.
okay. You're more hung up on the rain stuff.
Yeah, well, and at best, you could argue that Whiskey Jack, being the keeper of the Gate of the Dead right now, could have prevented Hetan from going over, and therefore her soul hadn't crossed over, which means that screwy shit can happen, as we've seen throughout the series, and maybe that's how. But we don't see that happen. So
Didn't she get frozen?
she died.
No, I know, but then wasn't there like Jagcut magic that froze that area, or am I making that up?
I think you're making that
but
up.
they were
Okay.
different. She just died of exposure.
Yeah, I think there's cold. That's
It was
an
just-
element of her.
It was just cold.
It was the Naruk also who were causing those crazy storms, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really get what you're talking about. But listen, everyone. And yes, at the end, Talk salutes to Whiskey Jack, which kind of parallels, like Josh was saying, the beginning of this chapter.
Oh, and she remarks she has someone else's toes, which is kind of a dark humor thing.
That is a weird comment.
Yeah, oh my God.
That
I didn't
joke didn't land for me.
I don't think it wasn't a joke. I think she was seriously like, what the fuck?
No, I think she has someone else's toes.
Like it's a joke.
No, she's like, she's probably, she's like, where am I? She has no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, somehow her memory has been erased. Steve is on the record saying he's a long answer because it's Steve, but it boils down to she got resurrected because she talked Tool and all of you deserved it. And that is his reasoning, which is nice.
That is nice.
Well, listen, everyone, we are really in it. AJ, how long have we been recording?
Just about an hour and 50 minutes.
So,
all right.
So quick break.
So we are going to take a quick break over here and then come back and record chapter 24. We might take a dinner break later on, but we're at least going to go to the bathroom. So
they don't need to know exactly what we're doing in the break. It's going to be 2 seconds for them.
Yeah.
Okay, it's...
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, okay?
That funny bone.
My fucking karma.
The funny bone. All right, AJ, play a music cue, and when we get back, we'll have taken a break, and we'll be moving on to chapter 24.
I got to tell you, I'm a little hungry again. The pasta salad is getting a little hungry.
Music. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 10 Very Big Books.
A Malazan Readthrough podcast.
My name is Peter Bond.
My name's Josh Baker.
I'm AJ Fileri.
I'm India Jones.
I've read every book in the series.
And
however,
so have we!
Oh, wow.
That's satisfying.
And with me today, reading the series for the first time, my friend and close
I'm
confidant,
confused.
India Jones.
Isn't this the same episode?
It's the same episode, yeah.
Our producer, AJ
Hi.
Fileri, how are the levels,
you
the
can
bars?
You can see them. You tell me how they are. You can see them.
And last but not least, Joshua Dean Baker.
Tis I.
Tis I.
Welcome back, everyone. We took like a full hour break. We had a charcuterie board. We vibed out. I watched AJ's dog poop.
Today's question of the day for the folks at home, send us in, what's your favorite element in a charcuterie board? And be specific, don't just write cheese. If cheese is your answer, give us a specific.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
You can send that to Josh.
So that's our call to action. We should start doing that from every show from now on.
Yeah, I like that. Send it to me on the Discord. Just at me with your favorite charcuterie element.
Josh, you're always getting at it on the Discord.
And I don't check it.
That's not true. You're on it
You
sometimes.
check it.
I check it bi-weekly, I suppose.
Okay, so we've discussed chapter 23, and we are now moving to the other battle, chapter 24.
Woo!
The final battle, if you will. And no, not the Narnia book.
Good.
Last battle.
Yeah.
But I was close. Place.
I got them in the bookshelf. Right
I
on the
saw
other
your
side of this.
Narnia cups.
Yeah.
You know me. Love a Narn.
Yeah.
All right. I would just love to check in base. We all wrap up 23. How do you guys feel going into 24? Where was your head at?
Mostly, I was like, what the fuck's up with Tavor's army, though? And I'll tell you, the chapter answered that question pretty effectively.
The chapter did wrap that up. AJ, what were you thinking?
Sorry, just generally about this.
Just going into the chapter, how did you feel after seeing this battle at the Spire?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if there was ever a moment where I knew what was going to happen next, it was now. Because I knew who we hadn't spent time with in the last chapter, and I knew what we were leading towards. So I was like, all right, I've got the safety bar down. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, it was for the first time ever. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen in this chapter.
India, how'd you feel?
All right. So, coming off of 23, because it ends in such like an emotionally like high way with Tool and Hetan and the kids. Honestly, going into it, I was like, who else is like, we're getting to these endings. I'm not even sure. I don't even particularly care, how the whole story ends, because I'm so much more interested in how each character's like story is going to end, because we've seen in 23, we've seen some like really shitty endings, or what I would consider shitty, like dying violently. or then some like more happy endings. So I was just more so like in a headspace of, first of all, I'm a little bit traumatized, and I'm not even thinking about what's going on in 24. I'm only wondering about the people that we know and where they're going to end up.
Like more interested in the characters and those micro elements as opposed to macro stuff.
Exactly. You say it so eloquently.
Well, let's get into some of those specific characters. And India, the chapter starts and we see Banishar and he's walking around with Tavor. How did you feel about seeing Tavor's command through his eyes? And we learn a little bit more about Drek here and Drek's involvement in all of this.
Okay. This chapter was Tavor heavy in the best way. I feel like I know her so much more now. I appreciate her so much more.
Which is a lot. You've really been coming for Tavor for years now.
I know. I've been coming for Tavor for years. I knew that was going to come up because in this chapter, I really was like, you know what? I just think of like a woman vice president right now and how, or like some woman running for some kind of office and how you just you can't be too emotional. You have to be like very poised, very controlled, and it comes off quote unquote cold. And guess who fell into that trap? Fucking anti-feminist me, which is horrible. So I have this whole new respect for Tavor, and even all these whiny ass people coming up to her, telling her everyone hates her literally to her face. Like, you're gonna be the reason we all die. And the way she just handles it with like such like, okay, well, you go do what I told you to do, and I'm actually gonna go have a conversation with someone else now. Bye. I have a whole new respect for Tavor. And then the Demi-Drek. I don't know.
Tavor throws that title out at the beginning of this chapter, and it really feels like Steve was like, I can't just write Banishar that many times. Because Demi-Drek gets thrown the fuck around this chapter. It is frequent.
All right, can we all agree? Banishar rules.
Oh, yeah, Banishar rules.
I hate to admit it, but he kind of rules.
Banishar is also known as like a priest.
Yeah,
yes.
He's the priest. He's the last priest
sick of it. I'm so
the Worm of
fucking
Autumn.
sick of the names. Yeah, the worm. Yes, the worm. What about that? Like that part also.
And then when they're like the snake was a manifestation of Drek.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. What was that?
So cool.
Sorry for yelling. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so Tavor.
Yeah,
So-
AJ. Well, yeah, what did you think about seeing Tavor here? We see her with her sword. We see the deck of dragons, and a lot of setup before the battle.
Yeah, I think, I love it. I think this is the first Tavor POV in here in these.
No, not yet. That comes a little later.
We don't see her pass out from her POV.
I think all of these are from Banishar's point of view.
Okay.
I don't think we see the Tavor POV till later. I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah, the Tavor POV is pretty much just...
I think it's just the one scene, if I'm not wrong.
Which one is it? Is it in the fight? I didn't even take note of it.
No, I don't think it's in the fight. Maybe there's more than one scene. My memory is the Tavor POV starts when she goes down and meets all the soldiers.
Someone talks to the soldiers. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, regardless of the number of them.
Regardless, I think this collection of scenes is really cool in that we're giving up the Otateral sword, which has been a huge thing throughout these books. And then Fiddler is burning his deck of dragons, which has also been a thing throughout all these books. I just think that's very, I don't know, there is something symbolic about it, I guess, of like saying the tools don't make the person, I guess, or something like that, you know, or like their power doesn't come from their tools. It comes from them and from, you know, their interactions as people and stuff. I don't know. I think that's cool. And I think it was a great start to get the ball rolling through the rest of this chapter.
All right, Josh. Next, we come to a lot of the individual soldiers who we will track throughout this massive fight. We see Hedge and Fiddler talk.
Sorry. We simply must touch in on the Banishar Fiddler conversation regarding life after war and living life for hobbies.
Oh yeah, when they're like, oh, everyone should only be doing the things that bring you like a secret joy.
Yeah, a secret joy.
Really
The secret joy was awesome.
Yeah.
Great way to phrase that. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not bring that up regarding what happens later with Fiddler.
Of course.
Oh my God.
I think that's a really great moment, and they talk about oaths and purpose and all this stuff, and it's just good. It's just like a really great exchange.
So what I was going to ask Josh, because we also see Korab, and we see Fiddler kind of taking a command. We see Hellion. We see a lot of these soldiers. Was there one that was really standing out to you that you wanted to track in this battle?
I actually have to say, as hot as I've always been on the soldiers, I think this chapter comes dangerously close to losing me in the number of soldier POVs we get. I think some of them work really, really well, and then some of them almost feel like, we have to get everyone in here. We've got to get one more Dead Smell Throat Slitter Widdershins. We've got to get over to this group. There's a few of those that lost me. But it's all made up for, and we don't have to talk about it all the way, by fucking Korab. I think Korab makes up, just how good it is following him kind of made it easier for me to forgive.
Well, we'll speak to that. Why do you say that?
Yeah.
Because I think Korab is just such an honest character. And I think his death hurt me as much as pretty much anyone else we lost. We've only known him really since book 5.
He was in 4.
He's in 4, and he's not in 5.
He's not in 5.
I always forget it. I always forget that it's the first 4, and then we go to the Tisty Eater.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we meet him in 4 and really get to know him in 5 and 6 onwards, and I love his character unabashedly. He's great, and through to the end, he is doing exactly what he would be doing. There's no doubt in my mind that that's how he goes out and how he chooses to go out, and he does it with a smile on his face. And it's so beautiful to me. I love him.
That's really beautiful, Josh.
I can't say that he's like a very innocent character because he kills a lot of people, but he is killing people never out of malice. And I know it's a kind of a weird thing to say because there is some amount.
Well, he is a follower in some sense.
He is a follower, but I feel like in this last battle, he is fighting for the cause, for his brothers in arms. That is it. I don't think he ever fights for himself.
Yeah, and I don't think the causes he's fighting originate from him, is what you're saying. And that's what I kind of mean, in that he's always a part of something bigger and kind of what does that mean to be a part of something bigger, and what does that type of oath or loyalty mean? India, when it comes to these many soldiers that we are getting considered in, Gesler and Sinter, Hellion, Widdershins and Dead Smell, like Josh mentioned, is there one that you were really keyed into during this battle or during this intro and wanted to follow?
Yeah, so Hellion's always an interesting character, but more so just for fun, and also I like who she's with and where she's at, except for that one person, but I don't remember their name. Anyway, I also really enjoyed Gesler, which I've never enjoyed before ever.
Whoa.
And I think more so this time I was really intentionally, usually when I'm reading, and I don't think this is any surprise, I'm like, okay, soldiers, whatever, this is so annoying. And I don't even fully, I would say, try to like anything. I don't even try to get intrigued into their stories. But because these last 2 chapters were mostly just, well, first of all, it was the end. And second of all, it was just one large repeated kind of battle. I was more keyed into it, and I was more intrigued by Gesler in this story, but also not the craziest amount, but definitely more so than any of the other soldiers. Well, and of that you mentioned, of the ones that you mentioned.
Interesting. I know, like you said, that was not always the case. AJ, what about you?
I really, really love the Widdershins POV as they're marching out of the city, talking about how he hates marching in formation and stuff, and how people from the outside see that as lack of discipline, but in reality it's we don't actually have to show that we're disciplined or whatever, we just have to be good at being fighters and whatnot. He says maybe the bridge burners had been the worst of the lot, but they'd also been the best. Widdershins liked being a marine, a bone hunter in the tradition of their unruly predecessors.
It's so funny you pull that quote. I feel like, especially when you talk about the Fiddler and Hedge conversations too, that invocation of the bridge burners and what it means to them, and kind of almost the position or self-respect that the bone hunters think of themselves in, and how they conceive of their own army in the shadow of the bridge burners definitely comes up here.
Yeah, I do think that argument between Fiddler and Hedge about
oh, we're just a group of guys, blah blah blah.
Right, and then Hedge being well, isn't that like what we were.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
weren't we just dudes, and then people started calling, and then like we have the name the Bridge Burners, but like we're just guys. Like who's to say we deserve that and they don't? And then also I just really wanted to say I really loved the Dead Smell POV that starts off with Dead Smell didn't want to say goodbye, not to anyone, which I just think is like crushingly sad.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh
especially
my God.
since there will be a lot of goodbyes in this chapter.
Yeah, all these men and women saying goodbye to us. The Bone Hunters were in their last days. It just, oh my gosh.
I really, just to step in here, they were so convinced they were all going to die that I was fully convinced it's over. They're all going to die and they'll win, but they're going to die doing it. I was fully convinced this whole chapter going into it.
Totally.
India, did you think that they're all going to die?
No.
Interesting. All right, well, let's get a little into the battle planning. Josh, what did you think of the role Blistig is given in the battle?
Well, wait, did we talk about the salute? Did I miss that with you?
We did not talk about the salute. We brought up Hedge and Fiddler talking, but we didn't
talk about
the
salute scene.
We're skipping it.
That scene is, I think it is a little funny to me. I think the scene is a little funny to me in that Steve is fully like admitting, listen, we have not spent a lot of time with these regulars. All right? We do need to involve them a little bit here to get you ready for what's about to happen. So we need to have kind of a good vibes send-off, especially since for most of the Glass Desert, or at least a big chunk of the Glass Desert, those regulars were trying to kill the Marines and Heavies. So this moment of solidarity, I thought was really nice, especially because both sides are giving the salute because they think they're the ones that are going to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's a great point.
The Marines are saying the regulars are doing, or maybe it's the other way around. Even like, do these regulars think they're surviving and the Marines are the ones that are going to die? I don't know, but I think it's regardless. They're just showing that quick sign of respect, and I love that. Like, it's Hedge that has to, because it's always Hedge that has to get through to Fiddler and kind of make him step up and be that person that Fiddler doesn't want to be or doesn't think he can be. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was great. And I love that the Marines and Heavies, they like do it and then boom, both sides turn around and just fucking get on with their day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the argument that Fid and Hedler, or that Hedge and Fiddler have about like Hedge being like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, throw the salute
they deserve
back.
they need it. They deserved it, whatever he says.
I just want to read this little bit of Hedge's thought. Us soldiers only got one kind of coin worth anything, and it's called respect. And we hoard it, we hide it away, and there ain't nobody who'd call us generous. Easy spenders we're not, but there's something feels even worse than having to give up a coin. It's when somebody steps up and tosses one back at us. We get antsy, we look away, and part of us feels like breaking inside, and we get down on ourselves, and outsiders don't understand that. They think we should smile and wave or stand proud, but we don't want to do anything of the sort, even when we're made to. It's because of all the friends we left behind on all those battlefields, because we know that they're the ones deserving of all that respect. We could sit on a king's hoard of those coins and still stay blind to all of them, because some riches stick in the throat and choke us going down. Just like, incredible. Just an incredible bit of writing there. Just really, really moving, I think. And I like that imagery also of like, if somebody throws a coin, you have to throw a coin back. Mm-hmm. I think that's just fun. But
so we get into the battle.
Battle planning.
The battle.
Blistig.
This, I'll say this. You almost brought me back on Blistig. But fool me twice, shame on me. So no. But I did think it was really, really interesting. I don't understand. I'll say this. I don't understand her motivation, right? She saved him from being assassinated.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. And I get that. I get the why, right? We need someone to survive who is credible.
Who was there.
Yeah, I get that. Why she keeps him in power for this last fight, other than believing that she has kind of instilled something in him. I don't know, because every time we're in his POV, he's still a little shit. All the way until the very last charge when they actually get into it and he starts, fucking people up. So I guess her choice paid off. But, like, I did still find myself a little like, I don't know. There's a lot of people you probably could have just thrown right in that spot. But, each their own.
Also, during this section, Ruthen Good and his participation in the battle is really highlighted. What did you think about that and Ruthen Good's kind of involvement or any other part of this battle planning?
The Ruth
Josh
and Good stuff is another one of those moments where I'm like, I get it. I need to read another book to understand these Storm Riders. Is there a book, The Storm Riders?
Yeah, there is.
Right, it's one of the ice books, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where it's another one of those books where another one of those moments in the series where I'm like, I get it. You know, there's other lore to be learned. It feels a little arbitrary, but in defense of the book, Ruth and Good is constantly like, please don't depend upon me to use these powers. So, you know, it's not like it's brand new, like, all tapped out, Chief. Like, he's always made it known that,
all right,
not
so
something to talk about.
Let's move on.
It didn't. I mean, did it strike you in any particular way, Peter?
I think I didn't like it the first time, but this time I'm kind of a Ruth and Gut head, you know. So
yeah. Just want to say we talked about Fiddler and Hedge, but we did not talk about at the end where they hug.
They hug.
I cried. So
did
you
hug.
cried.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
I cried
and then
a lot
somebody was
during
like,
these 2
are they
chapters.
lovers? And they were like, brothers.
Yeah, Badal's looking on with Sadek, and they're like,
So
oh, they lovers?
beautiful.
Brothers.
They're like family.
Yeah.
Same day.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's good. I just like it. Because Hedge is like, okay, well, they all saw the salute, and then Hedge says, there's something else everyone needs to see, I think. Or sorry, Fiddler says that, and then like puts out a hand, and Hedge is like, do you think that's enough? And he said, start there. And then they grab forearms and then embrace. It's just so.
Now, is the sadness of this part just coming from them all being like, okay, we're going to go die now?
Like we're all going to die together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're like,
they are all sure that they're going to die.
This is my regulars.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they call people that aren't like that? That's so fucking.
The people that aren't like
that's not like that's not them calling it. That's what they're called. Like they are the regular core of the army, and then beyond the regulars are the people chosen to be Marines and heavies. Like it is not really it is used kind of as a derogatory, but like structurally wise, it's not a derogatory. It just is.
It does. It's at least giving a little YA dystopian fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the uglies, the pretties, the regulars.
Yes. Fuck.
Okay. Anyways.
Sorry.
And I also really like the thing you said about how Hedge like pushes Fiddler to be a better version of himself in a way.
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Or like to do the thing he knows he wants to do. You were going to say.
Yes. So why wasn't Hedge going, or was he always going? They were just going to separate, because he like was like, I'm coming, and he was like, no, don't.
So Hedge is leading these I was gonna say fake bridge burners, but we learn the truth. He is leading these bridge burners who have kind of declared themselves not part of the army, as they're made of like people who just showed up from Lether and sort of people who have left the Kundral after their last big massacre.
Yeah.
And so he's basically saying, Fiddler, I'm going. I want your blessing to go. Because, Fiddler can say, don't go, and Hedge could still go because he's not taking orders from anybody. I think he's just really asking for that sort of permission, that acceptance from Fid that he's going to go.
I see.
And Fid just doesn't want him to go because he doesn't want him to die again.
Right, of course. Right. Yes, of course. Yeah, he says it. He says as much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want to go to the skies.
Let's go to the skies, baby.
Because we do see the 4-girl sail, we see the sword stuff, but it's also Dragon City. A lot of dragons.
It's dragon time, baby.
There's a lot of dragons in this last chapter, and Silchus, Tulas Shorn, Tellerus, Curdle, Carabas, Tiam,
Ampelus, the ones that are named after the
other
Runids,
ones,
which is
the other ones that are
10 out of 10.
It's raining dragons.
Yeah.
A lot of dragons show up. India, this dragon element of the finale, how did that hit you?
It hit. I don't like. What do you mean by that? Like, was I like into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like. It doesn't bother me per se. They've been like a pretty, I guess, significant part of the story for a little while. Like, but I wouldn't say super significant either. But like, I guess they've just been like a little more unknown. Maybe is that the word? I don't know.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. So I don't really have much of like, I don't think it's like super bad, like good or bad. It just is that they're there and they come and fight and they just like never die and then sometimes they do, but they like get like torn to shreds and then they're like, oh, I'm fine. Let's go do it again. So yeah, I wasn't hot on it, but I wasn't cold on it.
AJ, Josh, do you have any strong?
You guys love dragons?
Yeah, I think dragons are cool, period. I always love seeing Karabas just like killing everything. I think that's just like a really evocative image in my mind of the shadow flying over a thing, and then all of a sudden it's like dead.
Also cool to see that like another element of Shadow Throne's plan was giving the sword to Silchus Ruin for him to, in this moment, release these 3 dragons, who we saw way earlier in the book talking with Shadow Throne.
Yeah, well, we saw them in, a long time ago with Cotillion and Edgewalker. Isn't it those dragons? The ones that were...
I guess it is them who he speaks with. I forget.
Right? Isn't that the beginning of Reaper's Gale?
I thought it was the beginning of one of these 2 that he talks with 3 dragons, but I could be very wrong. It's been quite a while.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I think that's really cool. I think it is interesting, the moments where we're like, oh, this was part of their plan, like Shadowthrone and Cotillion. It's like, oh, okay, I see what they were doing.
Yeah.
I thought the Talos and Curdle stuff was good.
Love them. Love them.
What was it? Was it Tellarist whose leg breaks? Or whatever, one of their leg breaks, and they're like, oh, you gotta save me, and they're like, oh no, if I was in your position I would save you, but not really, like that's just like a thing you say. And then I don't know, it's just like a fun, I like them, and I think it's funny when they're in the book, and then when they're like, oh no, I have to turn into a dragon. It's just funny.
Always good time.
And getting to hear their full dragon names.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Tellarist is still their same one, but Curdle is like something.
But it's
ridiculous.
Like it's got, they both have, it has.
I think Tellarist has a second name.
Yeah, it has Tellarist in it and it has Curdle in it, but it's some other.
All right, I do want to move on.
Yeah,
fair.
But I do just want to share. To me, I don't really love the dragon element, and I kind of thought someone would share that with me.
Okay.
I like when Tiam shows up. I like when it rains dragons. I like kind of the imagery. But to me, I feel like I'm like way more invested on the battle on the hill and the stakes around the Crippled God.
I'm more invested in that for sure. I guess like if I really had to sit here and think about it, Peter,
I'm not a hater. I just I know where my heart and attention is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I like my only thing is I do wonder why we need Karabas. Like why do we need to have Karabas being attacked and all these scenes of the dragons fighting?
I think what's weird is, and this is maybe a conversation with the spoiler cast, when I first read the book, was like, why is there a huge Carcanas plot line in this? I don't get why this is a part of the ending in the series. Do you know what I mean? And reading through this time, I'm much more, although, I don't know, I have complicated feelings about it. I at least got much more, I felt like why it was a part of the ending. But I don't know if I feel that way about Karabas.
That's what I'm saying. I don't really get how it adds.
So, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what people think.
Yeah.
But
India?
Every time we say Karabas, I think of the Italian restaurant.
Karabas.
Yeah. Earlier someone said Karabas, and I really was like, is there one nearby?
All right. So let's move to the center of this Crippled God stakes, this hill.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And
Barrow, please.
Garol shows up, the coolest.
With the heart.
Love Garol. Can I just say Garol's one of the best?
Sure.
Okay.
You can say that.
You could say it. You could say whatever you want.
Okay. Not getting a lot of Garol love in the house.
I think Girl's good. I think Girl's as good as the other ones.
Okay.
Wow.
Rude.
Okay.
As good as the other ones.
Fucked.
Anyway, so Garol drops down the heart, and then what's that? Caw. Crone's back. The Ravens are here.
This part was sick.
This was so fucking weird.
I forgot that the Ravens are canonically part with the Crippled God and came from his world or something. Maybe I forget. I loved it. So
I forgot
good.
that too.
And they form a body for the Crippled God to kind of become a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how? Don't worry about it.
It's magic.
Yeah.
So the Crippled God returns, and who has a little check-in with him? Fiddler talks to the Crippled God.
Fiddler talks to the Crippled God.
And he's just a guy. Any thoughts about this conversation?
Yeah, some cool interactions with the Crippled God this chapter.
I really like a lot of these conversations with him.
So Peter, on your second read, and you're allowed to tell me that this should be saved for a later episode. On your second read, does the Crippled God still come across so villainous in the beginning? Or are you able to see the threads and how they... Like, is the Crippled God at the beginning of this series working with Shadow Throne and Cotillion, or is he fully trying to advance his own schemes, which are inherently evil in how they get done, in regards to things like Rulad and the use of plagues across 7 cities? Because to me,
as much as I empathize with his plight, I still think he does some pretty rough stuff in several books in this series. And as much as I like these conversations, that is one of the things I kept thinking about as I was reading them.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. And I think we should get into it maybe a little. Because I think we should all touch on kind of the elephant in the room. That the ending of this book and that the ending of this series, like you guys were talking about in the very last episode, is like maybe the Crippled God was not this mastermind bad guy the whole time. And maybe we have to kind of learn that he was in suffering and pain and he was lashing out and we have to forgive him and all this stuff. And we have to kind of be compassionate, you know? And that this is kind of this almost twist on this, like, we have to go defeat the dark god who's orchestrating all this stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think the book really presents a pretty complicated situation because I don't think the book, to me, in the ending here, is like, oh my God, he was having such a hard time and all of that stuff came from such a tough place. He's actually a really good guy at heart.
Yeah,
and
it's not a hurt people story.
Like, well, here's the thing. I think in a way it is like, oh, he actually was hurt and that's why he was hurting people. But I don't think the book is like, and therefore he's a good guy and we let him. Like, the book is still like, I think, wants to hold him accountable for like all of the terrible stuff he's done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think the book is trying to like act like he didn't like do some really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
No, I totally agree. I think, I mean, his ending is pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But he is kind of given a pretty happy ending in a way.
I guess. It's kind of weird because he gets stabbed.
Yeah, is it really?
Get into. And
yeah, but with the
I think we can get to that when we get to that. Yeah. I don't know if that's a bigger conversation.
I do think he gets a very happy ending, which is why I'm saying, like, when I think about some of the things he did, I'm conflicted.
Yeah, and I think, Josh, to me, when I think about those things, especially when you look at stuff like in Memories of Ice or in Midnight Tides, I more think about, it's like, how much is that orchestrated by him? Or
versus his followers doing it in his name, you're saying.
His followers doing that, and he is being brought into the actions of his followers.
And we do kind of get that POV in Bone Hunters or Reaper's Gale, one of those books where he's like, you guys are doing so much fucked up shit because of me.
And it's complicated. He plays an active role sometimes. He
with
does do fucked up shit.
Rulad, I mean, that's pretty brutal stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's... and I ultimately feel like it's a very mixed bag.
And what's tough...
Like, I don't think the book's trying to let him off the hook, but I don't think he's, like, responsible for every single thing.
I will say, though, to counter a little bit, I wish any of the Rulad storyline was brought up in these last two books as, like, getting justification or insight. I mean, we've got Withel, we've got Karsa, we have got... I think between those two characters who were very interacted with that storyline, Bryce was in that storyline. Yeah. Like, the amount of people that in some way should have interacted with, I just feel like it dies. It, like, that storyline dies in book 7 with Karsa killing Rulad. I don't know if it hardly ever gets brought up again. We don't really get any kind of reckoning with the Crippled God about it.
With his actions.
Yeah.
With the Lithari Eater Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he actively caused a full-on massacres through what he did with Rulad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. Well, we can touch on it a little later on. I don't think we're gonna get to anywhere, but I'd love to keep moving through this chapter.
Yeah.
So Calm, she wakes up our boy Akarium. What was that in?
I smelled this from a mile away.
Okay.
This whole ending here for her, for them. Like, do you want to finish your thought?
Please do finish. Get into it.
Like, it was inevitable that Mappa would be like, hey, that's my friend, I have to protect him. And then she'd be like, no, I'm gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. And then he dies, and then Akarium's like, I don't know you, but that wasn't cool. And then I have no fucking idea what's going on. Like, I just thought it was very, like, I knew that was where that was gonna go.
Interesting.
Did anybody else feel that way?
That's not my reaction, but...
Oh, all right, cool.
I agree. No, I mean, I was a little annoyed at Mappa. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I think
it's a full power Forkle Assail. You are half dead.
Yeah. I think that was... Yeah.
I wasn't like... you guys love Mappa and Akarium,
I do love Mappa, yeah. I think this was really sad in the way of like finding out that the nameless ones, supposedly, I guess that we're taking Calm's word for it, but like we're just like sending away the people that were like antithetical to their plans.
Yeah.
To like, yeah, go watch after this immortal guy and then you'll die eventually and we'll send somebody else to do it. Like, I was really annoyed at that, which I think was partly the point of like, oh, so Mappo's entire journey is kind of pointless. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of, because that's just kind of the journey he was put on. And that just makes his story like really, really tragic, I think, because like he was, I don't know. I mean, I guess the whole time we were under the impression that like this was like he was never going to win Mappo. Like he was never going to like come back and fix Icarium. In my mind, like this always ended with him dying to me or him being like, all right, see ya. But I don't think there was ever.
Yeah, I didn't think there was really a world in which the two of them have a happy ending.
Right.
Although we'll get to the ending, and it is there's hints that it could be pretty happy, maybe. But
you think?
I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. At least it doesn't end. What is the happiest ending for Icarium? In my mind, it is that he kind of just keeps on going and builds and has his friendship with. Like that would have been best case scenario for me. I don't think there's anything more that Mappo can hope with that or killing Icarium, kind of as like a mercy. But
okay, I just want to share. To me, once again, I feel like with the Karsa stuff, this is the single saddest death in the entire book to me, and it is the single most heartbreaking thing to me. That Mappo and Icarium do not reunite.
No,
totally.
I'm not saying it isn't sad. I'm saying I am frustrated because, and I think everything about Mappo tells me this is what he would do. I'm still allowed to be frustrated as a third party watching it. To be like, it's like a horror movie, you know? Like I'm yelling through the book, like, don't run at the four-hinged limb woman who's gonna murder you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he didn't, when he saw Icarium and he ran, if he didn't run, Ubalapong probably would have gotten there first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, man. But he had been looking for him for so long.
I know.
I know. He was gonna go.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense, and I think it is truly devastating. I think it's really, really upsetting.
To be fair, his quality of life wasn't great alive, so.
Yeah, but then it's like,
what does he have?
Mm-hmm.
He has his friendship and love.
That was all he had was Icarium.
Yeah, but like, Icarium doesn't even remember him.
Yeah, I think there is a point where Mappo has this whole kind of thought process with himself.
Yeah, like, it was a while ago.
Yeah, but I do think, I don't know, I mean, it just makes it more tragic to me that he just feels like he has no one else besides this guy who doesn't even know who he is anyway.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's just like so sad.
Okay, so see, earlier we were talking, and I think we were talking about deaths, and I know you've talked about deaths and coming back, and like, oh, does the series pull punches sometimes, you know? And I think there's so many times I feel like it does pull its punches in some ways. But then I think about stuff like this or Troll dying or these other moments. And I'm like, okay, well, these are things that sting really hard. And there is no, like, I guess there's that somewhat glimmer of hope of an ending Josh is mentioning where there's this idea Icarium will go forward and maybe remember stuff. And like, that's somewhat optimistic, you know? But this idea that Mappo just truly was given this quest in this shitty way and then was kind of obsessed in this weird, like almost selfless, I don't know. It's very complicated, his relationship to Icarium. And then just ultimately it amounts to him dying for him.
Yeah.
And never really having that moment, to me, is just so deeply sad.
Yeah. And we had to meet Taralak Veed.
Taralak Veed. That fucking guy.
Yeah. That's the real.
Anywho's, so Herb, Hellion, they have a smooch.
Urban Hellion.
That was
funny.
really kind of, I liked it. That was nice.
Yeah, I liked it. She loved it. He loved it. They loved each other.
Yeah.
That guy in the middle, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought it was silly. Classic Steve. Let's lighten this up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it was just a nice little moment. I think for, you know, I don't know. It wasn't really a will they won't they between Hellion and Herb, but I don't know. In some ways, it kind of was.
Yeah,
I think
I thought it was fun.
Like the POV we get from Herb, where he's like, "I love you." How hard is that to say? I was like, "Oh yeah, this totally makes sense."
Yeah.
Like I totally get this.
And he's talking about like, I'm so happy that she's not a drunk anymore.
Yeah.
But man, this would be so much easier if she was. I don't know why that really got me. That thought was so funny.
Yeah.
We see some more soldiers all around the battle.
Soldiers everywhere in this battle.
A lot of soldiers.
There's a lot of soldiers.
We see a 3rd grade field trip in this battle. They're going to the aquarium.
And I'll just say, I somewhat
aquarium.
agree with Josh. Sometimes in this chapter, I'm just a little lost in bouncing around through all the soldiers, you know?
And we're bouncing between like both fights. Yeah or no, we don't. No, we don't, right?
No, I don't know what you're talking
You couldn't
about.
tell me.
What do you mean both fights?
I didn't know there were. Please. What?
No. Yeah, we're not bouncing. For some reason, in my head, I was about to say we bounce between the one fight and the other, but we don't. We don't get back to the. We basically see the very first part of the fight at the barrow, and then we jump and just do the other battle for ages.
Yeah, mostly.
That's right. That's what it is.
All right, so then let's come to it. Tavor
Yeah, baby.
kind of prepares with Lestara, and then she walks down.
Okay, wait.
And see, this is where. Yes.
No,
I was going to say, this is where, as I was saying, the endless. We can just keep creating more pures and more high waters. I was getting a little. I personally was a little frustrated this chapter with like, oh, there's just 3 more entire armies, you know? Like, it just felt like we couldn't. I don't know. Personally, I found it a little frustrating to just constantly have so many fights to happen because there's no other, because we have to have this high tension moment where things come together. And I don't know. I know it's a bad complaint, but it was like, it was a little frustrating to me. We just kept having more pures that we have never heard of, that have never been mentioned, that are just there with their own 8,000 person armies.
I read like 5 times that there were no more pures, and yet
That's how I felt, India. She's like Sister Reverence literally is on the Spire, and she's like, I don't need any others. All the other pures are gone, but there are more in other continents. I'll find them.
Yeah.
And then next chapter, there's 3 more pures leading armies, like 50 miles away.
like I thought they were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like before, I simply don't care.
Yeah,
and
classic.
could not imagine caring, but I support you 100%,
Well,
Josh.
imagine it.
Yeah. Do your best.
So I just wanted to touch on Tavor and Lestara getting ready for battle.
Amazing moment.
Hurts so good.
I loved it. I loved it. They have like a cute little like friendship that unspoken, just like full support. I loved it. And I have a question. Well, do you want to say anything about it? Since
No,
I
please. I mean,
screamed?
yes, but please keep going. No. You.
So at one point, like she's getting ready, and I guess Lestara like is putting on her necklace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about.
Please, you go, AJ.
What do we make of this passage here? Reaching inside, she drew out a necklace, a simple leather string, and an eagle's talon of brass and gold. Then she turned to the captain. Would you tie this for me, please? But Lestara simply stared at the talon. Captain, she looked up, met Tavor's eyes. The adjunct sighed. I am a child of the Emperor. What more is there for you to understand, Lestara Yill? Nothing, adjunct. Hey, what do we make of that?
It's very confusing.
Okay, here's my take. Here's my fucking take.
Please.
All this whole time, Tavor has been and even like earlier when she like falls over after she stabs the sword into the ground and gets cleaned up, and she's like, oh my god, like I'm so embarrassed you've seen me like this, like all dirty and shit. This whole time Tavor has not been like, you know, taking care of herself, like worried about looking nice, worried about smelling good, worrying about wearing like a necklace even. But she's going into like, this is how I took it, and I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but like she's going into this final battle. She knows she's gonna die. She knows what she's planning to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's like her last, just like, I don't know. She's like, this is it. And she is trying to like, I don't know, look her best, do her most. She's wearing perfume.
Sure.
When the fuck does she wear perfume?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know.
Damn.
Maybe I don't, but that could just be my take on it. Like, but it does seem a lot like she never cared, but like this is her final.
Yeah.
Like this is it.
I think that's a great take, India.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was focusing very much on the Talon imagery.
Oh, me too.
And the Talons were like the secret assassins that the Emperor or Empress had.
Yeah, and so I had the same thought of like, has she been a Talon the whole time?
Yeah, but
we know that actually we do know she's a Talon because Tavor sent the Talon Bodum, whatever his name is. She's the one that sent him to cover for Felison. I forgot that. Or at least we knew that the Talon did that and was sent. Maybe I guess we knew that Tavor's the one that sent.
Yeah. But I think
I just don't know why we needed to be reminded then.
I think India brings up a good point of it is, I think in this moment, just a piece of jewelry. I think she is just trying to be a person again, because she's like, I'm a child of the Emperor. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
This is the only piece of like nice jewelry I have.
Well, I think it can be both things at once. I think it can both be talking about her role and relationship to the Emperor and whatever her being a child of the Emperor, as in her words, and also about wearing perfume and feeling, connecting with a sense of identity, connecting with a sense of personal identity of who she is, which can be about objects and presentation, but can also be about relationships to the Emperor.
She's a child of the Emperor.
Yeah, I mean, it can be both things. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I was like,
I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just like that. I read that moment a couple of times over, and I was like, this feels like it's significant in a way that I'm not clocking.
I still,
I hear you.
But I feel like it didn't like it was a moment and it happened and then it was over and that was just it. Like there wasn't any like.
Yeah, there was no heel turn where it's like Malak Rel is here and she's been working for him the whole time. Like there was no other shoe that dropped or anything, which is.
I mean, I do think this reveal of Shadow Throne and his involvement with this whole thing.
She does say I'm a child of the Emperor.
Which is a bit of a reveal exactly of like...
Oh, yeah, the Emperor did make the Talons.
Emperor Korable.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
Well, Dancer made the Talons, let the record show. But I just that their involvement in this scheme and orchestrating a lot of this in a sense.
Before we move on, this is an unrelated question that I just had.
Okay.
So at one point, I was kind of confused at what they were getting at, but they were talking about the white-faced Barghast, why they had white faces, and it was because they wanted to look like the Fork Rail Sail. That blew my mind.
Sick.
Yeah, I totally
and we didn't
forgot
talk
about
it.
Yeah,
but
We talked about it a little bit with the Gilk because there was the same conversation we talked about the Gilk turtle armor. It was in that, but we didn't talk about the white face part. Yeah, no, that was sick.
I thought that was so cool.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Weird though, and again, Peter's gonna say they don't care, and that they can't imagine caring. Weird that the Gilk are the only ones that we hear about having turtle shells, and they're part of the larger white face. Why are the Gilk not leading the white face? Maybe they used to lead. Hard to answer. Unknown answer to that question.
So let's talk about, I believe, the first time we have a Tavor POV in the entire series.
So
Tavor marches down, the Bone Hunters is like, hey, this is you. You did that. Hey, you did that. This is you. Then she gives this long speech. India, what did you think?
I loved it. I loved every, and this is another reason that immediately a Tavor head, obsessed, love her, complete 180. I think that speech just like, hey, no one's going to know what you do and no one's going to know what I do. And that's okay because I know and you know and I see you and you see me and let's go get this fucking bread. I literally loved it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was such a good moment because like everybody's been saying how cold and just disconnected and blah, blah, blah. You know, the same. But she really came out and was like, hey, I know you and I know you and I see you. And I loved it.
I liked that she went a different way than kind of people had been thinking she was going, of the route of, even if we win, there's no room in the history books for us. So it's not that we're not going down because we lost. You know, it's just kind of like no one's going to know the individuals, but we know. I don't know. I thought it was me pessimistic, and then it was like just hopeful enough that it kind of set their spines.
I thought it was so optimistic.
It's so moving.
I thought it was
it's one of the
so,
best parts.
and I didn't think it was going to be pessimistic. I felt like it was going to be optimistic.
Yeah, and it's very fucking epic.
Yeah, it's sick.
Just us in solidarity
and then
here.
Blistig's like about to go try and save. He's like, she fucked it up. And then everyone's just like, ready to go.
No,
So
Josh,
good.
they very distinctly don't.
Oh, you're right. Everyone's just like,
Silent.
Yeah. That is the hardest shit I've ever read in my life.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God.
It was so
Say
good.
I just
nothing.
can't believe Steve one book gave us this, and then also Spinok Durov hitting people's shields so hard as he's given that speech. Like, same book, we get both of these.
And we were, it's so funny, you were talking about the speech in the last chapter, and you compared it to Spinok Durov.
Yeah.
To me, out of all of the like commanders giving a dramatic speech, but it is like not even close. It is this one by a mile.
This one's so good.
But we've been waiting for this. Like we've been waiting for her to come out and do something like this, and it paid off tenfold.
Get in here.
I was just gonna read the quote. I mean, India's already paraphrased it pretty succinctly, but say nothing. We are walls of silence, you and me. We are perfect reflections of the one we face, and we have faced each other for so long now. And the meaning of that silence is none of the enemy's business. Bone hunters yield only in death on this day.
That.
And then following it up with Blistig being like,
So how do you
okay,
fight?
so here,
How
and
do
then
you-
her soldiers just being like, boom, oh my god.
How do you fight? How do you go into battle that erect? You know,
It must be hard to move around in the armor
Right?
when you're that hard.
they got its chainmail, a little flexibility.
It just is such an amazing speech, and we'll talk.
Oh my
We'll
God.
talk a little bit more about it later too. So really love that, and it's such a powerful moment being able to step into Tavor's head like that.
And in the faces around him, he saw the coldest iron he had ever seen.
You got to get one more cold iron in there, baby.
The coldest iron. Ice cold. How cold?
Ice cold.
I will just say,
Little
highly
Outcast
suggest that, and I remember in book 6 because not only I talked about the unwitnessed thing, but when she first uses the word unwitnessed, I believe on the boat in book 6, it like hits so hard. I was like, oh, this is like the origin of an ethos.
Actually,
you
I
know?
believe it's on the boat of book 7.
You think it's in 7?
I think it's 7. We get a flashback scene.
I don't know, but anyway.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
India.
yeah, because I think it's a Banishar
It
POV,
is a Banishar
right? He's like,
flashback.
she gave that crazy speech.
Yeah, it is a
and
Banishar flashback.
Lestariel's there, everyone's like, what the fuck was that speech?
Yeah.
And she's like, we're going to the end of the world to be unwitnessed. And everyone's like, yeah.
That sounds like it kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But even okay, now another fun Coltane parallel.
God.
I love the idea of her saying like, no one's gonna remember this, no one's gonna remember us, whether we win or lose, no one will remember us, and we will be here and we will remember, and that's that. Whereas like, how many times have we heard about the fucking chain of dogs and how that was gonna go down in history, and why is that?
Because they fought so
Because they traveled a whole continent to save those people. I just read that quote again recently. Was there a quote about that in this book or a different book?
I don't know.
My immediate thought is that we're also wrapped up in somewhat in imperial politics, and that the Malazan state, and Malacrel in particular, has a huge interest in the history around those events and what happened to it.
yeah.
But I will say, I guess there is some allusions to, you know what, I'm not going to say anything.
What?
I'm so lost.
Well, this is one of those things. I've read that other Witness book.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Witness.
I get it. You guys have read these 10 books. I've still, unfortunately, read a few more Malazan books than you.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
It never ends. Yeah, it never ends.
All right, I'm done with that. All right, so after the speech, there's a little bit more preparing for battle. It's
Brother Aloft is like, wow, they're so quiet. They must really fucking hate her.
Yeah. So funny.
So good.
We see Gal and Hanavat. That's sad. Well, it's sad in a nice way, I guess. Well, I feel so tough with some of this battle stuff. Like, I mean, is there...
We could each pick. I mean, I would say like the only thing worth talking about in this battle for me was the 5 regulars who joined to get Tavor back into the lines. I thought that series of events was incredible, and it's the 5 that she had named. I teared up at that. I thought that was so cool when Blistig pointed that out. Great scene. I don't know if any of them made it. You know, did it really hit you, India?
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
I thought that was great. Lestara screaming at Hanar to get back. Incredible. I think that was the highlight of it. Obviously, we get the, oh, look, the Riders of Rohan are here moment when Perrin's army shows up at the last second and hammers in. And then the moment.
We'll get there. AJ, thoughts on the battle itself?
It was cool. I liked the fighting.
Gaul, rest in peace.
Yeah, Gaul, rest in peace. I was gonna call that out. The Banishar conversation with
Sure.
Hanavat is like, oh, are you gonna name the baby Gaul? And she's like, there's only one Gaul. that I want to think of when I think of that name.
We don't find out that baby's name, though, right?
Karsa Orlong. No.
Oh my god.
No, we don't. But I just think the sentiment of like, no, Gaul is one person.
Singular.
Is singular. Like there is only
awesome.
one. Oh my god. I love their relationship. I think that storyline of all the like sub storylines that have gone through the last couple of books. I mean, through the series, I think honestly, like that kind of. It's not like I don't know. I don't want to say it's a B plot, but it is kind of a B plot.
It is a B plot.
And I just every time we go back to them,
if anything, it's like a C plot. I don't know. But it's
so good. It's so well written. I love the characters. I feel so connected to them for some reason. It's just so good.
And can I just say, banish our heads. Where are we at?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
You guys get it. You guys get it now. Why?
I understand.
I always liked Banishar.
For a long time. I'm glad AJ's come around on Banishar.
Okay. I've been a fan of Banishar since book 4.
Not in 4 or 5. Nice try.
When does he show up? Is that 6?
6.
Jesus.
Okay. Ruth and God's out there crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yes?
they just said his name so many times. Mathok's the guy leading Ganois's cavalry, right? That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought so, and I could not be fucking bothered to go check. I just was like, I'm going to make the assumption that that's right. But
So, Josh, you alluded to it earlier. Perrin joins the battle.
yes, they have killed that force that was sent to stop them. They didn't have Quick and Kalam, so it was a little touch and go, but they did it. All happened off screen, baby. Ganois's specialty. Master of the decks, more like master of off screen. Don't
Action.
matter, it happened.
Ganois, we're like,
I just
Gano,
got back
I'm
from
not
doing
in this
something
book.
important.
More like Gano exposition.
All right. So let's
job,
talk
guys.
about it. The Perrin
The
siblings.
first thing she says is that she couldn't save her.
Fuck.
Really hurt me.
India, how'd you feel about that, India?
Well, let's be clear. There are people like me out there, and I know they exist. And that was for us,
Yeah.
even though she doesn't know that not only could she not save her, but she killed her.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. She already thought she killed her. You know?
Well, figuratively, not literally.
Yeah, she didn't know.
Well,
Like-
she still doesn't know.
Okay.
She still doesn't know.
We can't get back into this.
I'm
No,
just
we're not
saying.
getting back into it. We're not. But at the end of the day, I'm glad she said it. But I do love a sibling moment. Would it have been nice if little Fellison could have just been there
If
with her
Fellison
little,
was also there.
her little whirlwind self? No. Yes, but no. And that was sad. Honestly, it was sad. Now I'm a Tavor head. I get it.
Long time Tavor head.
Yeah.
First time caller.
We talked about it already. The core app stuff's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not. Are you guys moving past this? I feel like this is one of the best moments for me.
No, yeah, we got to
Korab
talk
scene?
about it for a
Well, can you tell us
sure.
about it? What
Perrin
do you
and
love so
Tavor.
much
Perrin
about
and
it?
Tavor.
It's 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
we're
jumping
still
past
there.
it. Sorry.
I just.
That happens after the core app stuff.
Yeah.
I was.
We hopped past a bunch of scenes.
Yeah, I think I just.
So you want to go right there?
I'm not gonna lie. I was excited to talk about it, but I was a little lost in the battle and kind of how to chew through it. If I'm being honest.
No, we can just talk about this and then we'll finish at the barrow.
Okay.
Star has her whole moment.
Oh yeah, Lestar with the wanting to dance stuff and being
Yeah.
like cotillion.
Yeah, and he won't drink. He won't answer her.
So
They're all on their
cool.
own in this battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No God
brutal.
intervenes here. Just the power of man.
Brutal.
And I feel like in those scenes you can really tell her desperation, which
Yeah.
is such an interesting thing to see from her.
I want to find that scene where she's talking about her dance.
Take me, Cotillion, please. I
I'm
beg
just
you.
so
There's a couple.
guys. I gotta say, for so many books, I've been convinced the Perrin siblings will never
See each other? Yeah, me too.
And it was such a relief that they did. And it wasn't with one of them dying in the other's arms.
And I think although you start to see it earlier in the speech Tavor gives, her moment here is just such this release of this energy she's been holding the whole series.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And this burden that she's been bearing leading up to her finally letting go and kind of
Seeing her older brother and
Big bro's here. I can let my guard down.
just
Beautiful.
having a family again.
and just letting herself be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, and not be the leader,
Ugh.
you know?
God.
Beautiful.
I'm going to cry again.
So it's so good.
Brutal stuff.
Yeah. Love Tavor.
Love Tavor.
Love Tavor.
Josh texted me
I did text Peter.
about one specific moment and we're finally here. Do you want to share, Josh?
It's me. What do you mean? I'm Nefarious Bread, who is then immediately vanishes, and everyone's like, "That's just a story we made up. There's no Nefarious Bread."
A story we made up literally like 4 months ago. Like it's not,
and
it hasn't even been that long.
Somehow,
oh my god,
there he is. Oh, guy with a weird fucking accent and like a gold tooth or some shit in my mind.
Man.
What do we think? Nefarious Bread, real character or not?
I mean, I think he's real.
I think he's real.
No,
I think he's a cryptid. Don't think he's real.
A cryptid. Okay.
No, I don't think he's a soldier
Well,
who's
Pete,
actually
are
there.
you
I
saying
think he's
Bigfoot's not real? Bold
hey,
statement on the podcast.
right now. I need to hear you say it if that's true, because I need to rethink some things.
All right, Bigfoot's real.
Thank you.
Nefarious Bread's real.
Oh, thank
You got
God.
it.
I think Nefarious Bread has been grubbed into existence, you know?
Fuck.
And he's not been there long enough. He only can manifest for that one moment.
Yeah.
All right, should we get to the barrow?
In the barrow, baby. Let's go.
In the barrow, yes. So the crippled god, we're back to him. Korable is there. Karabas is showing up. They're like, oh, we need you to chain Karabas. And then TM starts manifesting.
Cool.
And
Cool stuff.
really cool stuff. AJ, what'd you make of it?
I thought it was cool, but I want to talk about the Fiddler Hedge moment.
Okay.
Yes, the Fiddler Hedge mode's wonderful.
Where Hedge is about to die.
Always keep one on you.
Yeah, always keep one on you. And then he goes to I guess like Blaze of Glory himself, whatever. And then Fiddler saves him, and then it turns out that thing was a dud anyway because he'd been carrying it for so long.
So good.
I just thought that was great, and I just thought this was a really nice moment that Fiddler got to save Hedge's life. I don't know, it was nice.
Our guys.
Yeah.
All right. There's this conversation between Mail and Krull, and they'll become important later on in the resolution of the crippled god and where they go. What did you think about this kind of cave and this like kind of dreamy imagery? I think it's all in italics, or maybe that's when the crippled god sees them later on. I kind of forget.
Pass.
I think as an audience,
Habor expecto.
what we deserved was Steve to just put all of the Haboric scenes in one little section for us to have to reference before this chapter, and all the Jade stuff, because I was so lost.
Josh, I was also lost on the reread.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest.
Sure.
I mean, I can read other people describe it to me, but the Haboric stuff is so spread out and so to me esoteric. I definitely have a hard time tracking it.
Yes.
I feel really bad. But I want to touch back on the Tavor and Ganos scene really quick again, because I think the way that it
Nothing to
mirrors.
feel
We
bad
didn't
about.
even talk about it.
piece
I
of
thought we were
trash.
coming to it after.
Well, we were in it.
We were in it.
But then you said you wanted to go.
I just wanted to
We've
go
been
through.
bouncing around.
Yeah, we've been hopping around.
This chapter's really breaking down. We're everywhere right now.
Got it.
I just think the way. Okay, well, first of all, through the bars of his helm's iron grill, she was directly ahead. A prisoner still, I think, is an amazing line and incredible imagery of Ganos seeing her through his helm. I just think is like amazing imagery. And then the Tavor had fallen to her knees with the sword in the ground, and then the way this kind of I don't know, it's kind of a mirror to her relationship or the scene with
her and Fellison?
With her and Fellison.
100% a mirror.
Where the other sibling has a mask or a helm on, and she's like, I'm going to kill this man. Please someone tell him to stop. And then before she can swing,
Oh my
he's like,
God,
wait,
yeah.
it's me.
Yeah.
It's just like so fucked, dude. It's just
It's like these parent siblings are embracing on a battlefield, but in a totally different way.
yeah. It's oh my god. And even this fucking
Oh my God. Rereading it is just like,
Steve, you sneaky little snake.
I know.
It ends. We get a Tavor POV. Someone was rushing towards her, another enemy, etc., etc. Don't attack me, please. Someone stop him, please. I will kill him, etc., etc. And then her blade was a blur, and then that's the end of her POV.
Yeah.
And then we switch to Ganos' POV, and I'm like, I swear to God, if this man ends up stabbed, but it starts with he caught her wrist.
Caught her wrist.
Yeah, beautiful.
And was rocked back by the force of the swing.
She was gonna fuck him up.
She was gonna fuck him up. The fact that she was still able to muster that much strength after, fully collapsing is just.
Oh my God, it kills me. The first thing she says is, I lost her. I was like, every Tavor scene in these last two chapters was a chef's kiss. It was the payoff that
we deserved.
So we deserved it so much.
We did.
And it was a long time coming.
Oh my! It was how many books coming?
It was like literally
The
up, up until the end. It was like dead silent Tavor in the back.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then the whole Bone Hunter army collapses to their knees. Oh my God. Jesus.
All right, let's get into the Crippled God
Yeah,
stuff.
sorry. Back to the...
But Josh, how did you ultimately feel about this resolution with Korable?
Not great, personally.
Why is that?
Because I like to think that I'm pretty good at understanding things, and I left having essentially no idea what happened, why it happened, what their plan was, and I know that the books are intended for a reread, but I think if you've read the books and paid as close of attention as we have, it should not be so hard to figure out what is going on. You know?
Like the reasoning for things.
Yeah. Like,
Sure.
I know Burns dying. Everyone else seems to have forgotten that for the last 4 books because we haven't talked about it in a while. But, like, Burns dying. There's the blood's infected.
The moon exploded.
We've got to do these things. And I'm like, I know that these things all are why this is happening. I just do not get the how. And the problem is a lot of the magic in the Malazan world, the how is really where we get a little hung up. So I don't really know if I'm ever going to understand it unless I, like, study these tomes again.
Yeah.
AJ?
Yeah, I feel kind of this.
Ending?
I mean the Korable ending, but I think also just generally this whole ending, like the Korable and even to the Crippled God like slaying part, I felt like so confused. I think the Heboric stuff is sick, but I think it's sick in the way that all the other Heboric stuff is, where it's like, I don't know what's going on, but I sure am along for the ride.
Yeah.
I think the scene with him and Korable and Mael under the water outside of Letharis or wherever.
Yeah, so these elder gods are in this cave, and they're kind of talking about almost like a type of like afterlife or peace that the Crippled God could find.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how to understand it, but they're like, in my mind, in a spiritual realm.
Oh, interesting. I saw it as the bottom of the ocean for some reason, and I guess they explain this, I
could be wrong. Don't trust me.
They just explain where Heboric's hands are as like silty.
Sure.
And to me, silty is the bottom of the ocean.
I think you're
Is that
correct.
correct? And that was the last time we saw Heboric like do something.
They're
Was
definitely in a watery place.
yeah, when he got thrown over the side of the thing and saved everybody from the exploded moon. Or whatever that was. Anyway, that's where I saw that they were. But I love that conversation. I love Heboric. I think it's great when he shows up. When they were talking to the Crippled God about like, well, we need to bind you to this world, but we don't have a way to do that, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it was Heboric was like, yeah, you have a jade hand and an otateral hand. The jade hand is the alien stuff. The otateral hand is the stuff on this world.
Yeah.
And that is how we can connect these things. I was driving when I listened to it and I yelled out in my car, no fucking way. Because that was so cool to me.
Yeah, it was sick. There is no doubt.
I was just like, absolutely blew my mind. And so then going ahead now to the Korable part, where he's like, yeah, hold on. And just like reaches his hand up and pulls Korable out of the sky. That's fun. A weird mirror to Fenner.
Yeah.
But not really in a way that I think really means anything. It's just like
And there was
he is
this-
a character who has done stuff with his hands, and he's once
And
again
there was
doing stuff
also
with his
this
hands.
moment
It's
where
an
like
interesting element to think about the ending. It makes me want to reflect more on the Korable storyline.
Totally.
Josh?
the jade, and isn't there a moment where they're like the jade's hands are meant to be a warning to something? I just was like, man, I'm sure if I read all of these parts back to back, it would really clear things up. But that's a stunt to find all those disparate parts through the 10 books.
Well, that's why the Search of the Fallen exists.
Oh,
you just
okay.
look
Search
up
of the Fallen.
Heboric and then
Yeah.
read all the entries with the word Heboric. In them.
Okay, good to know. Good
Definitely
to know.
will be helpful. I'm totally joking. That will be nearly impossible, I think, to understand.
All right, so that's a bit about the Korable stuff. India, the Crippled God gets killed. And what do you think about kind of the ending of the Crippled God and the resolution of that storyline? Obviously, he's killed by Cotillion, and then there's kind of this scene afterwards with him in a way. How did that make you feel?
All right. So this book is called The Crippled God. And as we noted earlier, this really hasn't been much about the Crippled God, and we really haven't learned much except for like, okay, he kind of sucks sometimes. And now it's like, okay, maybe he wasn't that bad. So believe it or not, I felt pretty disconnected to him dying. I didn't feel like particularly, like, it wasn't the most by far impactful death for me. And
Well, because like what his dying was like part of the plan or what? Like it was so random.
Agree.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it just was it? Like
Cotillion shows up and like seems like that was part of the plan, but then he seems upset about it. So then I was like, I hope he didn't like actually fucking murk the Crippled God, because that would be a real bummer to end the story.
Yeah, this is kind of how I felt also. I'm really happy to hear you guys both feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because I like, Cotillion did it, or sorry, so the chains break. He's like, oh man, the weight of these chains, I can barely move, and then starts moving, and then stands up, and then Tiam's there, and et cetera, et cetera. And then there's this whole thing about like, oh, you have to chain Tiam or the world would be destroyed and all this. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll do that. And then Haboric stuff. And then he just gets stabbed. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing a part, but
I'm confused what you guys are confused about. I feel like you get what the ending is.
It just wasn't that impactful.
Yeah,
so it's this, okay? I think maybe the part of it is because we're seeing it through Korik's eyes, right?
Which is, I will say, for me, a rogue POV.
POV. He felt his soul reaching forth, closer, reaching to touch. The crippled god smiled at him, blah, blah, blah. The shadow rising behind him was out of place. It could not belong inside those raging fires. Korik's scream of warning ripped through all his throat. He flung himself forward, even as Cotillion's knives plunged down to sink into the crippled god's back, right? And it sounds like a very bad thing. And then Fiddler's like, it was the only way, Korik. It's for the best. And it's like, you don't... A voice spoke behind Cotillion, like 3 pages later. Well done. I know, like, failure. Never did, Shadow Throne. Like, what does all that mean?
yeah.
Was killing him the way to return him to his people? I guess. But, like, it's framed really darkly, in my opinion, by, like...
The whole stabbing in the back
language
thing.
Around the scene.
Maybe Pete, you just walk us through your...
Yeah, I agree that to me the language of the scene is at least a little violent, and it does portray that like almost Cotillion's assassinating the crippled god, which is not really how I read the scene.
That's how I read it.
That's how I read
well,
it. Yeah.
no, what I mean is like I don't really like. I wouldn't call this an assassination. Do you know what I mean?
Why?
You didn't see it coming.
We didn't see it coming. It came from a mile away. No, all I mean is that to me, I read this scene. I get what you're saying, but it's like. The crippled god is being freed from his suffering, in a sense. And ultimately, to me, returning to his realm, returning to a spiritual place, and, like, I guess ultimately writing this book and contextualizing what brought the Malazans and all of this event that led to him being, like, killed in that way. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I kind of get what you're saying, yeah. Look, if you're telling me that canonically this just leads to him being released to go back to his people, I'm a happy man.
That's to my understanding.
And that's what I was, I don't want to use the word assuming, but that's kind of what I was, like, hoping it meant, because otherwise it feels bad.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just, like, missing some points on the like, map. And, like, I saw him get stabbed, and I was like, oh. And then they say this is the only way, and I'm like, okay. And then I don't really know what that means. Like, it was the only way for what? But I guess if it's the only way for him to go back to his people, etc., be free, then, like, okay, yeah, I agree with Josh. Like, then I'm happy with that, but I wish that I understood it in the moment.
Well, I'm surprised that you guys feel that way, if I'm being honest. But
yeah, I felt a little betrayed. And I was, but I was like,
you felt betrayed
by Cotillion. I was like, ooh, I hope this was the good thing. I hope we did this for the good reason and not a bad reason.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like I was unsure how to read the events happening. Like I was unsure whether to be like nice or whether to be like, oh my god, or like what I was supposed to feel in that moment.
Well, I mean, you are in Korik's point of view. He doesn't quite understand
exactly
like, the schemes.
Sure,
so
and like I get that, and I think that's great. And I think seeing it from Korik's point of view, I get how Korik feels, but I don't know how I'm supposed to feel as the person reading the book. Like how like, and you know, not to say that you're supposed to feel a certain thing reading a book or whatever, but like I was like, oh, Korik feels confused and kind of betrayed by this. I get that. And then they're like, that was the only way. And then I was like, okay, what does that mean? And then I feel like I didn't get any explanation past that. Or I didn't glean any explanation past that. Not, I didn't get it.
All right. Well, that's another thing I'd love to hear. Why don't you guys write in? Let us know what you think about that element of the ending. I guess we're a little split over here.
Yeah, I will say everything after that, I was like, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I was like...
All right, so let's get into that. So the soldiers, there's a kind of goodbye to a lot of these soldiers. We see the bridge burners, Whiskey Jack, Fiddler, they talk. India, how did you feel about having a goodbye to these...
I love Quick Ben, and I love Kalam, but you weren't asking about them.
We didn't even talk about Kalam that much. He's also in the finale.
Yeah, we didn't.
He is there.
Yeah,
he's there.
He's mad at Quick Ben for looking smug.
I love them so much. I think that they have the best little banters.
I love how anytime Steve can write that Kalam has to run and is too big for running, he will do it. And he will make sure someone notes, he runs like a bear. Always.
He's husky.
Yeah. No one's ever said Kalam's not a thick boy.
Kalam is thick.
If the two of them
Go
are
on.
bucking,
Okay.
I don't want to read the book.
He's a bear.
Okay.
Oh.
Just sharing my mind. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, what is Quick Ben if not a twink, you know?
Quick Ben is canon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Is this, when did the Corlat thing happen? Is that the epilogue?
Oh, we got to get, that's not
That's
yet.
the epilogue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's really
In the end of this chapter, we see
Whiskey Jack.
There's we know that Corlat has assembled with the other dragons that survived at the end of this chapter, but we do not get to see her just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, then it was good. Bye guys, have fun.
Bye, soldiers.
You did a good
a lot
job.
of them get a proper goodbye. AJ, do you have anything you want to touch on there? Trots.
Yeah.
Trots is back. Rare Trots.
Yeah, I do want to touch on
Trots cameo.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading over this these Crippled God scenes again. I am flesh and bone. Would you have me summon my children down? I cannot go. Would you have me summon them down? Krull says no, that would mean our deaths.
That would destroy the world.
He says yes, and then Krull says there will be a way. It begins with Hawarrick, but ends at the hands of another.
And then they're free.
And they say, will you trust us? And he said, yeah. And he's like, okay, yeah. So I guess in this specific line, I just missed one bit of this line by the Crippled God, which kind of set the rest of it off poorly for me. I am flesh and bone, made in the guise of a human. Where are my children called down to me? I cannot go. Would you have me summon them down? And then I guess the implication with the lines after that is supposed to be, you can't summon them down, but we can send you back up there.
Yeah.
But we have to kill you to do it. Will you trust us?
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I missed that one line. And it really...
yeah, that does kind of change things.
It kind of changes it, but it's also...
I mean, I agree the language is
I feel like it just could have maybe been done a little bit more nicely.
I don't know, I guess...
Like maybe take a nice sleep.
It could have been done more nicely. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I just wanted to... I was just...
Yeah, you want to get into it.
Then again, I wonder if getting stabbed even hurts someone like the Crippled God.
Okay, I thought you meant anyone.
Does
I was going
getting
to be
stabbed
like,
hurt?
I haven't been stabbed. Have a feeling it's got to be pretty bad.
No. Just,
Okay, so sorry. What was the question? Do we do what,
Any other soldiers goodbye you want to touch on? I mean, the gist in this chapter, obviously, there's we check on some of them later, but we see a lot of the bridge burners for the last time.
Yeah, Whiskey Jack, Trots, Mallet, they're all here. The gang's all here. No, I mean it was nice. Mallet,
Talk's a bridge burner.
Corlat.
Oh, I love that scene.
Sorry, Corlat is not here, but she's brought up. Garul. Bye to our boy Garul.
Okay, where are my girl heads at? When he's like, oh my god, it's so interesting his line about humans. Garul is like, oh, like, and humans are almost positioned in this, like, they are this advanced race and that they have so much about humanity to, like, teach, like, and that they are these beings of compassion and grace. And that's something the Change Hamal could emulate and grow into, you know? I think that's really beautiful in a way.
I also love the fact that...
also, Gruul flies.
Gruul flies. I think the fact that their place isn't called... It's not rooted. It's Guthan Wandering. Ooh,
Yes.
Really cool.
Really good.
Yeah.
There is a scene, because I guess we're going to get to the epilogues pretty soon. Shadowthrone and Cotillion, they have a little scene, but I don't really care to talk about it, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
I'm so over their scenes.
And I think this is the last time we see Akarium.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we feel about where we leave Akarium?
I was not going to bring it up, but I do feel like I want to speak my truth.
Sure.
Please.
I was annoyed that this frankly beautiful scene in my eyes was marred by the Ublala Punk sex joke that wasn't needed and sort of robbed that last page for me of any sort of emotional kind of moment. Other than that, it was beautiful, but I was like, we don't need you to mention that you're gonna sex this lady again. Other than that, that was great.
I don't know. It doesn't really take away. I hear you. I think we've talked about that joke. For me, I've gotten a little tired of it, but I don't know. I find that scene so moving, and I don't really mind that it ends on a dun-dun-chun. And I just love the kind of optimistic place it leaves Ikariam, India.
I don't know. I also just thought, I don't know, like, the last page of a book, I wasn't expecting it to fucking end with Ublala Pong. Which is fine, but I don't know. I don't feel necessarily happy for Ikariam. I don't feel like he always just kind of makes me feel bad and sad, but at least he has friends now. That are also...
He feels close this time.
But I was going to say, he said that before, like, a lot, and that made me sad, because he always feels close this time.
Yeah, I just feel
and
like...
he never is.
Yeah, I think it's just like a cyclical story for him. He's just doing nothing's positive. I think it goes on.
To me, I read it as he's broken the cycle.
Well, I think
hope
so.
The friend
but
I have remembered something could be.
That's how I read it.
As him breaking the cycle and remembering.
I hope so. I hope so. But I feel like I've heard Ikariam say, "I feel close this time," too many times.
AJ, thoughts on Ikariam's ending?
No, yeah. I mean, I think you can. I think you can read it both ways. To me, I did read it, Pete, closer to the way you did, where it's like now that he is with. I don't know. I guess. I think the difference is that Ublala wasn't tasked to be Ikariam's like
friend,
friend, but just like person who accompanies him across the world. He was just like, oh look, another dude. I'll be this dude's friend because that's who Ublala is. Loves to be friends. And so I think that is the first different thing, and then the second different thing is I remember. I have a memory. I remember this. Potsherd. I don't know.
All right. Before we roll on and get into the epilogues, I did just want to quick say, India, earlier today you did pronounce that Hood is daddy. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I announced that because I very much appreciated... I appreciate Hood at all times. I think that he just does what he needs to do and thus is a daddy.
Terrific. AJ, how long have we been recording?
About 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. Nice job, everyone. We'll see where we end up after the epilogues. I'm going to go to the bathroom for sure. Take a quick little TO.
Again, we don't have to tell everybody what we're doing during the break.
Okay, I get it. You don't want people to know
We don't do bowel movements here on 10 Very Big Books.
I've never moved anything in my life.
All right, we'll be back after a short break, everybody.
Play that music. Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast.
My name is AJ Valeri. No, we all say our names at the same time,
okay.
Ready?
My name is AJ Valeri,
and I've read every book in the main series, and my co-hosts also have.
Oh my god, that was so hard.
Why are we do not need to introduce ourselves again. It's the same
my
episode.
friend and closest confidant in
Peter Bond.
The levels.
Our producer, AJ Valeri.
And my friend Joshua Dean Baker.
Woo!
The
Dream Snaker.
The Dream Snaker. The
Ball Breaker.
The Ball Breaker.
Oh, shit. I was going to say the Heartbreaker, but we already used Breaker.
The Trash Taster.
The Bread Maker.
Bread Maker.
The Moon Breaker.
Oh, the Animand Raker.
Oh, the Los Angeles Laker.
We don't bring them up here.
That's right, 76ers, baby. Okay, where are we at? All right.
Spax. That was
Go the Knicks.
Another name for Josh.
She's from New York.
So we start off with a 300-word epigraph.
There's 2 epilogues.
Oh, well, yeah.
There's 2, and we're going to discuss them both now.
Yay.
Okay.
I can't wait. 3.5 hours. Let's go.
Epilogue 1. Namander.
Well, it starts with a big epigraph by someone that we've never heard before, to my knowledge. Avis, Didion, Flicker.
Do you want to get into that?
I just wanted to say it was really long, and I was really confused because I didn't have the book in front of me when I was listening to the epigraph, because I usually don't, because I'm like, yeah, these are vibe pieces mostly, and it kept going, and I was like, oh, is there not an epigraph to this epilogue? I could have sworn there was, and then it finally ended after like 5 minutes. I was like, oh damn.
So
anyway,
Namander's there talking to Silchus Ruin. They talk about Corlat, and it's kind of this goodbye for the two of them. India, any thoughts about?
Dragons go fly.
Dragons do go fly.
And I, at first and throughout the whole series, I felt really, really bad that they would like bind these evil dragons, but now I kind of get it. Just keep them in the sword.
To me, I feel like this scene's just like a touch, like we've already kind of said goodbye to the Carcana stuff.
You keep saying the Carcanis stuff, and it means nothing to me. I thought Carcanis was a book. I'm learning it's a place.
Well, it's a book, but it's also where the shore is.
It's where the shore is.
It's where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense, but to me, the shore was just the shore.
Sure.
Sandalith.
Drew Corlat.
Jan Twovis Twilight.
Twilight One Twovin.
Twilight One Twovis.
I hate that.
So to me, I feel like this is just kind of looping back on and touching on that.
Yeah, I could have done without it. Let's go to the Corlat stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it was sweet. I mean, it was, they said goodbye and,
All right, the Corlat stuff. I know, India, you mentioned you wanted to talk about this.
I just want to bring you all back to what I believe was Midnight Tides.
It was definitely not.
Memories of Ice?
Memories of Ice.
That's the same one. Same book.
Not
Both
the
start
same
with an
book.
M.
Totally different, but okay.
I'm with India.
They say M. And
Really, they're all the same. They're all Malazan.
Yeah.
Malazan. Malazan.
Sorry.
Oh, I will.
I won't.
And Corlat and Whiskey Jack, tales old as time.
Mm-hmm.
True as it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. And any moment where I can get a nod to that story, the one that made me fall in love with this series to begin with, I'm going to take it. So I liked that in the epilogue. It was sweet.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I kind of like this whole scene and just saying goodbye to the soldiers and like the loss and kind of mourning them.
Yeah.
AJ, any thoughts?
Yeah, this scene broke and repaired my heart.
Oh.
I was the Grinch, growing my heart 3 sizes that day.
I just love the image of like all these boys like, no, not this. It's so beautiful.
It is. It's so sweet, and it's just like such this tender moment of like all these like hardened Marine dudes who are like cool guys with big balls being like, but he loved you so much. Like
Literally.
He loved you so much. You can't give up your rock. It's just like so sweet. I loved this moment. Another moment that brought me to tears. Just really, really beautiful. And I think even the fact that they're like, look, we know you lived for centuries and like, so, no illusions that you're not going to like fall in love with somebody else, but like that rock is for him.
Yeah.
Like you can't give that up or you're like besmirching his memory.
And when you do beef it, he is there.
He is there.
He is waiting.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then he is there.
He is.
Ugh. So.
The earth is healing is what I'm getting. They're all united. Like, oh my God, we're all dying. We're putting our dead together.
Sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean to jump ahead to the final bit. I guess.
No,
I guess I did, but.
That's arguably what we're here for. I don't really care at the fact that everybody is united and mourning together, but that is something that is happening, and that's a beautiful thing.
You know what we didn't touch on was all them laughing in the barrow.
That happens.
That's an epilogue?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
The
Jaggets. That's about to happen right now.
Is that
and Hood's there, right?
And where Smile smiles? That's in this moment?
No, that was
that
earlier
on.
He's talking about the other
the
barrel.
direct
We actually
barrow.
mixed up laughter.
Yeah, that's where they laugh at
Yeah,
the
somebody
up
makes just like they just make
a
like
really bad joke.
They just make like
right?
a silly joke that they've made. It's just like a classic bridge murder joke of like, and then they all start laughing, and it's like,
it almost reminds me.
oh
of,
my God.
Sometimes at like a funeral, everyone will laugh.
Yeah.
And it's this like weird laughter of tension.
It's like cathartic.
Yeah, it's this like eruption of emotion that like isn't really make sense in a way. So I feel like that's what it reminds
It's
me of.
100% that.
Yeah.
And I loved that moment. I thought that moment was great. Sorry, I completely forgot about it until just right now.
That's a great pull.
Anyway, Jaghut.
Well, the Jagged also laugh here. Josh, we didn't really touch on the Jagged army. They're part in the finale. They were around. They're here now. Did you have any thoughts you want to share about the Jagged?
I think they're cool. I don't know if there's much else to even say about the jacket other than they're cool, you know?
Yeah, I think that's basic. I'm like, yeah, they were there, the Tableau. I mean, it's like these other people do show up. They play a minor role.
Yeah. I guess if I was going to say anything, I really appreciate that at the start of this series, the Kachin Shamal, the Talani Mass, and the Jagat had, as far as anyone was aware, 0 living members of their species, and we have now ended with these elder races continuing on now.
The Jagat and the Talani Mass, they did have a moment where they were like,
they made amends.
it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what'd you guys
Very
think of
nice.
that?
Yeah, so you're our kin or you're our brothers and sisters, something like that. Really nice. I liked it. That was great.
Yeah, that was just something to note because we didn't bring that up. But yeah, and that's how I feel about the Jagat. I mean, they kind of fucking suck, let's be real. But I think at the end, what I'm really realizing is that there's good and bad on both sides.
Wow. Deep hinge.
What a note to leave the show on.
No, but seriously, like, like we find like every single time it's like, no, these guys are really evil. And then it's like, oh no, they're actually just like people that are just trying to, well, or not people, just trying to like do their best or sometimes do their worst. But no, you know, they're all different. And
Yeah,
they all...
You heard it here first, India Jones. There were good people on both sides.
Both sides.
I mean, I get what you're saying, India. Like it's this history is cyclical thing, and like there are bad people in groups of people, and but that doesn't outweigh the majority good people, et cetera, and like
because like the Jaicuts did suck, like, you know, they did try to like, you know.
There were
We're back.
occasional tyrants that sucked,
Yeah.
right?
The
occasional tyrant,
occasional tyrant enslaving
occasional
tons of
tyrant.
amass,
Yeah.
ruling all zone.
not-
and then the Talani Mass had the
okay.
occasional bone
Genocide.
caster that would turn everybody into bones.
Yeah, a lot, honestly. Get it? Yeah.
Listen, I think we all agree on the podcast. Everyone gets one sibling whoopsie,
Absolutely.
but
Wow, what
you
a
do
callback.
not get one genocide.
You do not get one genocide, no.
Well, you do technically get one genocide.
I don't know what India means.
Well, you can't like double genocide.
I see.
Can you?
I feel uncomfortable with the question.
So, Tavor.
Tavor.
Yeah. We get this little moment with Breeze and Kalith and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot
Breeze.
gets repped here. Kalith says goodbye, and I actually love the Kalith goodbye.
Caleth's great.
I really loved Kalith this read through. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, a lot of goodbyes. Josh, what did you make of this goodbye to Bryce, Tavor, Tehol, the statue, beautiful?
Thought it was really, really nice. I don't really know if there's much to say. I mean, I am thrilled that they all survived. It's a little plot armory, to be sure, but I am so happy they all get to go back and have their happy endings. It's very, very nice.
India, what did you think about the ending for these characters?
I agree. I like that they all can, like, you know, live their best lives. I do like when they mention, and we talked about it earlier, but I do think it was special with like Stormy and Gesler. You get like even a little more closure, like when they talk about how he died for the dog, and
So good. And the other dog
and then he wouldn't
protecting-
have, like, he says, and I pulled it up because I think it's just so sweet. That's Gesler for you, brainless to the end. He wouldn't have liked things without Stormy anyway.
Yeah.
And that like is so true and sad. What a way of putting it too. He wouldn't have liked things without Stormy. Which is So sad, bittersweet, but good. And I do like that everybody kind of realized that Tavor was great at the end. Because although literally for book upon book, we, and by we I mean me, and also all of my fellow soldiers, have been shitting all over Tavor's life. She deserves this ending.
I'd say I'm living for the final moment India heel turn.
Heel turn. Waiting for the heel turn. 100%.
AJ, thoughts about this goodbye to these characters?
Yeah, I was really sad about it, but I felt really good. I like Bottle's like rumination on the people they lost. I think I like the end of this Bottle section where God, who is it? I don't remember who's talking. They say, "Hey, Hellion, found me a big spider here. Want to see it?" And it's just like, we're back to our old antics.
Yeah.
Everything's back to normal. They lost some friends, and everybody's sad about that. But we are still trucking along, making jokes, cracking jokes. Breeze tells in another scene, Breeze tells Tavor that they're going to get a statue in Letharis, and she says, "Will I be beautiful?" And then it's like, "See ya," before they can answer. But then Breeze says, "Of course you will."
Of course.
Which is nice. I don't know. And then the final Corlat Fiddler thing.
Yeah, Corlat and Fiddler. Fiddler goes off to he's like, go get him. And then Corlat runs.
Honestly, sobbing.
Yeah.
My heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, India said, you mentioned you cried. Is this the first time you had cried in the series?
Yeah, for sure. I was so upset. I don't know why the Stormy and Gesler thing made me so upset, but it did.
This was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It was so sad. That was like the first time. And then when I read the end of it, I had a little moment, and then I came to record a podcast.
Yeah. I'm getting emotional just reading it again, but just the image of Fiddler unwrapping the fiddle that they gave him, playing My Love Waits, written by one Fisher Keltath. Shout out.
Our boy.
And then it's just like I can see it and hear it, and it's just like so beautiful in my head, and I just love it so much, and it's so sweet, and they deserve it. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. Here we go, everyone.
Final epilogue.
Epilogue 2. Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big
Oh
Books.
my god.
A Malazan Readthrough podcast.
Wait, no, start.
My
name
is Peter Bond.
What is it you
And
do?
I've
I've read every
AJ
book in the main series.
India's here, and Pete's here.
My friends
I'm
who
with
is
my
Peter, India,
friends
AJ.
that are also here.
Our producer, AJ Fileri.
My friend and closest confidant, Peter
And
Bond.
last but not least, Joshua Dean Baker.
My good
So
friend,
tired.
Joshua Dean Baker, and also AJ is the producer.
For once, the C's we're just going to read through the whole thing. Is that?
Yeah, that feels right.
This is an audiobook now.
That's actually illegal. I listened to the very end of it and said it's illegal to stream
Do not
or reproduce.
distribute.
Yeah.
All right, so first we check in with Onos, Hetan, Udanis. Right.
No, it's never gonna get fixed.
I'm obsessed with it.
Damn,
How
you
did we
did
feel
that
about
one on purpose.
Saying goodbye to this crew, who all have a kind of loving ending,
And
big happy ending.
Saren Paddock up there with her child.
Saren Paddock, she's there.
I love it that all the kids are there and they're all just like living
Mommy
life.
Saren.
This is a solid commune we got going on.
Phenomenal.
Huge farm upstate energy.
Yeah. It's just always nice.
Everyone's just like doing chill things too. Like it's such a different. I do want to bring back when we first met Udanas. He was a slave.
Yeah.
And now he's just living his best life by the water once again.
If there was anything I wanted more, though, I wanted nothing more than just Troll to wander in confused.
Unshorn.
I would have been, honestly, I think a little bit livid if
I
Troll
think
just
that
like
would have been
if
exactly.
Troll was just like, and then Troll showed
then
up.
Troll-
I was like,
oh,
wait a minute, what?
Looked out of the ocean.
Yeah, like wait, what?
Thanks, Mel.
I wanted it so bad, but I knew it couldn't happen.
Surfs up, turns back. Thanks, my guy.
Jesus Christ.
Just a really beautiful ending for these characters.
Oh, Pete.
Okay, let's get to it.
It happened.
Your boy.
We did it.
They're back. First, you start from Shadowthrone Reptilian's point of view, and they have that beautiful line where they're like, hope, you got to hold on to it. It's like, you got to...
Yeah.
And I think that's really beautiful. I do think holding on to hope is really important. That's a whole separate conversation. Crocus and Absolar.
Oh my God. Wait, do not. Do not.
All right,
just
India.
Crocus and Absolar. Oh my God. The fucking parallel
The drama.
to the very first
Oh, yeah.
book.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Garden of the Moon. Did anyone else lose their shit?
Yeah, dude.
Because in the
Amazing.
bathroom, I lost my shit. Literally, I read this in the bathroom.
Yeah, to clarify, India got here and read the last 80 pages in the bathroom alone.
I couldn't take it. The whole ending, honestly, I can't take. But please, beautiful.
Yeah.
I needed it.
Yeah, no, I mean it was beautiful. I don't have anything else to say about it.
There's nothing to be said other than
I knew exactly what was happening from sentence 2.
Agreed.
And I was like, I'm here for it. Take me down this river, Steve. Just like I'm floating down a lazy river. Just give me the good stuff. And he did. Oh man. Yeah.
Okay.
These crazy kids.
So isn't she the one that first told him the story?
Yeah, she was the one that told him. Yeah, that's
oh my God.
It's not. The lover lost on the moon, tending her garden alone. It's not quite like that. The story, I mean. He shrugged. It's what I remember from it. That and the look in your eyes when you told it to me. I was reminded of that look a moment ago. And now, I think, he said, the sadness just went away, Absalar. I think, she replied, you are right.
Oh, 10, like that alone, it's just
full body
phenomenal. Full body.
I'm so happy Absalar just didn't fucking get involved.
She just left.
Just left and just went back home and just sort of vibed.
Yeah.
Yes, queen.
Yes.
Respect yourself enough.
She did what she said she was going to do. And Cotillion was like, hey, go live your life. And she said, okay, I'm gonna.
To me, this ending's so powerful. Not only do I love both of these characters so much, and I'm happy they get this
They're happy ending together.
They get this beautiful happy ending. But also, like, the last 2 chapters are so huge, and I definitely get lost in them sometimes. You know, it's like this huge battle, there's this huge stakes, and there's so much going on. And I think then to come to this second epilogue, which I'm much more, I don't know, I'd love both epilogues, but I think the second one I'm more drawn to just come back to this such a personal and intimate moment with these characters who, to me, are characters we really started the series with.
We did, 100%.
These are people we've gone all the way with, you know? It's so powerful and moving to me, and this is easily one of the endings that I think about most, especially not only Shadowthrone and Cotillion's discussion about hope and like faith, but the two of them and their reunion. I love it so much.
And I do love that she literally did go home. Like, she went to where it all began.
Yeah. Which is like chapter 1 of Gardens of the Moon.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's in the prologue, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the prologue,
when she dies. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the prologue of the Gardens of the Moon, over to Fiddler.
Yeah. No Ganos, surprisingly.
Yeah, we've said goodbye to Ganos.
Yeah.
What did we think of this little Fiddler scene on the docks, talking to the boy, paralleling?
Yeah, I was throwing up.
I literally shit myself, actually. Especially because earlier in, I think it was a chapter 3 or 24, and they were like, what are you going to do if you weren't a soldier? And he's like, I would be
a fisherman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up earlier, because,
Yeah, exactly. This chef's kiss, honestly, perfection. And actually, that's it.
Josh, what did you think?
It's perfect. Yeah, my first thought was, I can't believe this side character from book 1 who book 2 begets his own storyline that I definitely attributed more of it to a Crocus or Kilkman or Kalam storyline, and Fiddler being this bee person to just being the last person we see.
Fiddler's a stealth main character.
Yes, and it's incredible.
He is the connective tissue.
He is
one of the characters that he's probably in most of the books.
He's in every book, but not Midnight Tides.
Except every book except 3 and 5.
He's not in 5 for sure.
No, he's not in 3, 5, or 8.
You're right, he's not in 8, yeah.
He's not in 8?
No.
Because 8's when they go back. So
Yeah,
those...
it's in Jerusalem. Yeah.
But listen, most, like, even the characters aren't at most. They're, like, not in some volumes. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Love Fiddler's ending, and I just love this, like, talking to the boy about becoming a soldier and, like, how to spend your life.
And there was a conversation earlier in the book about how you can't convince someone to not be a soldier. And he stops himself from saying don't do it and just talks with the kid. And it's so good.
And then there's this beautiful ending coming back to the weather vane atop Moxhold, the center of the Malazan Empire, and observing that it is like a thing in chains. House of Chains. We are the House of Chains. Humanity. How did we feel about this final twisting in the wind?
I didn't make the connection.
I didn't really.
You didn't make, you didn't make the connection.
I didn't make it.
Should I go grab my gardens? Should I grab my Gardens of the Moon so we can find the weather vane?
That's how it opens. If I can just tell you that.
Oh, it does?
It opens on the weather vane.
Oh,
and then
it's really good.
And then it cuts down to them talking.
Yeah.
All right. I am gonna just quick now read the final part.
Well, I was gonna ask if we could each take 3 lines.
That's such a great idea. And now the page before us blurs. An age is done. The book must close. We are abandoned to history.
Raise high one more time the tattered standard of the fallen. See through the drifting smoke to the dark stains upon the fabric.
This is the blood of our lives. This is the payment of our deeds. All soon to be forgotten.
We were never what people could be. We were only what we were.
Remember us.
Wow.
That's it, Ken.
It's
You're
really
crying.
good. Oh.
There you go.
That's it!
End of the
Woo!
book.
That's it! We did it! It was 10 very big books!
Very, very big books.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Can we clap for a final time? When I say come, you say passion! Come!
Passion. Wow.
Oh, the weight of this.
Yeah.
It was just like 2 endings at once.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I have like the chills.
listen, we obviously are going to have these other episodes and we'll talk a little bit more. And I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks about this book and how it kind of wraps up the series. And like I said, please tune into the Stream of the Fallen. But it's pretty crazy that we read all 10 of these books, and I just want to say thank you, India. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, AJ. For
I thought you weren't going to thank me for some reason, and I was going to laugh really hard.
for kind of, I don't know, going on this crazy journey and reading these books that I asked you to read and that we made this show together. Thank you to everyone who's listened. And, it's just a really special thing that we got to share this story together. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. This has been quite a journey. Can we do another? I don't even know. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Don't turn it off. I don't want it to stop ever.
No, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have other episodes to talk more about our feelings about the show proper, but
this one,
yeah.
it feels different.
No, I know, but I just,
If it's different.
yeah. I don't know. Thank you guys for doing the show with me.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for listening.
This has been,
It has been fun.
yeah, one of the joys of my life for the last 4 years. And honestly, the most constant thing in my life for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think that you've now read all the books.
We have read all the books now.
There's nothing. There's nothing really I can spoil.
My name is India Jones, and I've read every book of the main series. So, yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It only took 4 years.
Yeah.
All right.
A blistering pace.
Wow. Listen, I don't know what else to say. I'm
Yeah.
sure we've been recording for super long.
Not even 4 hours.
Not even 4 hours. Just it is the longest episode of the show.
Yeah, by far.
And like I said, there will be more. Write in, and because I have to tell you, I have to know what you think. Josh already shared on the Discord, he thinks this book's in the upper half Upper half, lower half? You don't have to decide right now. India literally finished the book moments before we got on the podcast.
Yeah.
Easily, honestly, for me, it'd be upper half.
I think upper half. I think it's hard to consider on its own in some ways.
And that's the thing.
That's the thing.
And that's why today we were like, we got to only talk about these couple chapters because it's so easy to be like, well, not only should we talk about this, we should talk about this as the ending of The Crippled God and the ending of Dust to Dream / The Crippled God and the ending of the series and the ending of the podcast. Read through.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone, listen. We got to wrap it up, but thank you so much for tuning in today. And we'll talk to you soon. Please tune into the Malazan Stream of the Fallen and send your mailbag questions in. Listen, we'll talk about it more later on. Thank you so much for listening, and we finished the books.
Wait, I thought we stopped a long time
Finished
ago.
the books.
No, we did a compassion, but we weren't done yet.
Yeah.
It was more symbolic.
Yeah, can we do another one?
I think Pete's got to lead this one. Yeah.
I need another one, yeah.
We can end on it. Yeah, all right.
We finished the book.
When I say come, you say passion. Come.
Passion!
Three, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, producer AJ here for maybe the last time. I'm gonna play this one a little bit fast and loose because this is really for all you credit heads out there. Thank you so much. If you listen to the credits, if you have ever listened to the credits, if you're listening to the credits right now, and more than ever, thank you so much for just listening to the podcast in general. We recorded this episode about a week and a half ago at the time of me recording this, and it still hasn't really set in that these books are done. I'm still in a state of like, well, maybe I just start reading the books again, but we'll see what happens with that. We said a couple times on the show, if you have thoughts or feelings about anything we have said, you can email us 10verybooks@gmail.com, tweet us at 10verybooks, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBB Discord, capital V, D Discord. That's in the show notes. Every link to every person and thing I'm about to shout out are all in the show notes, and you should check out every single one of them, including our Patreon, if you'd like to financially support the show. We will still have the Patreon open at least through July until we're done the mailbag and all of any post-season stuff. But as always, just so sincerely, thank you to Dan Grezerick for making our spectacular cover art. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_Dan_G. When we started the show, Dan was just a friend we knew who did art, and it was really great to have Dan along for the ride. And we love all the art that Dan gave us for all these seasons. Additional art from this season and the last season are from Scout Wilkinson, who you can follow on Twitter at HumbleGoat. You can visit her coffee page at ko-fi.co/HumbleGoat. She also does commissions, so if you are an individual or a business or corporation or whatever looking for art, Scout is really, really great at making art. If you haven't been looking at the show art for the last 20 episodes, I suggest going back and checking out the individual arts for every single episode. I know Spotify lets you see that stuff. I'm not sure about other podcatchers, but we'll post a progression of all of these as well. But they are each and every one of them is an individually beautiful piece of art that I do think you should check out. And speaking of individually beautiful pieces of art that you should check out, thank you so much to Amaranthin for letting us use his music from his album Simulant Rain, as well as his album The New Romantic, and I believe at one point I used stuff from other albums. We really, really appreciate any and all of the music that he has let us use over the years. You can follow him at amaranthin.bandcamp.com, and he's got great music up there. He is also for hire, so please follow him on Twitter and visit his Bandcamp and hire him and have him write music for you, because he is a joy to work with, and he is an incredibly talented person who the show truly would not be the same without. I love his music, and it worked so well for the show, and it will work also very well for your ears, just generally. Like I said, links to all the pages to all of these things are in the show notes. And we will be back on July 22nd for the Malazan Stream of the Fallen. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to us there so that you get the notification when we go live. It'll be 10 hours, and it'll have a whole bunch of stuff, and it's going to be a great time. And come and hang out and donate to a great cause, pro literacy. It helps adult literacy programs around the world. It would mean truly so much if you just showed up even for 10, 15 minutes to hang out with us. And then after that, there will be a mailbag at some point, and some other postseason stuff possibly, but just keep an eye on our feed. We will be uploading probably a short update next week, me and Peter. But until then, I'll talk to you then. And truly, truly thank you so much for listening.
Is she close enough to her mic?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Wow.
Fucking targeted.
I mean,
Right? Damn.
yeah. That's if we had a better setup, then I would be like, yeah, get closer. But
I could get.
You looked at me dead in the eyes and said I had to kiss the mic with my lips.
I wasn't even looking at you when you asked that, actually. So
But
that's just
to
a
be
lie.
fair, you do drift. You do like to sit back. Where
PB is a drifter.
Yeah,
You do.
if there's anybody whose mic etiquette I am worried about, it is yours.
Wow.
If there's someone on the call that I need to be worried about.